This is real-life conversation with the voice of the North.
This is Night Owls with Alan Robson.
Call 0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Okay, so what was or has been the worst, nastiest, funniest, weirdest, oddest, most of an experience, the food that you have eaten? Do tell. And a big hello to everybody that bought some stuff. There was a big charity auction in Middlesbrough on Saturday night. And a big hello to everybody that came down and spent their money. I was due to start at about 7:30. Ended up not getting on. The whole auction didn't begin till about 9:25 and went on well past midnight. But congratulations to everybody. A fantastic sum raised for a really good cause, a youngster who's suffering with cancer at the moment. So thanks to everybody that piled down. It's been booked in there for an awful long time. So it was finally good to meet everybody concerned. We'd spoken a lot on the phone. So let us crack on. Rich in Stockton upon the T says, the Halloween YouTube thing was excellent. Thank you for a great show. I really loved it. Cheers, Rich. Glad you were with me. Let's get busy and let's get chatting. We got Eric, and he's in Newcastle upon the Tyne. Hi, Eric.
Hi there, Alan.
Hello, mate. What can we do for you?
I just thought I'd see if I could have a chat with you about some Father's Right.
Please do. What's been happening?
Well, I've been in court for 5.5 years, which is a long time.
Cheapest. Well, I mean, how was it taken? I thought that even if you were in the most heinous relationship of, unpleasantness between you and an ex, as soon as you eventually got to court, they realised that hopefully you're a decent father and gave you an opportunity to see your child or children. How's it taken so much time?
They did give us an opportunity to see my son. I had 3 weekends out of every month, and the last Thursday to Friday of the week.
Sounds okay.
And then his mum played some dirty tricks and got him took away from us just recently. So it's been 4.5 months since I've last seen him.
Jeepers. But you say this has been running for 5.5 years. Surely
on and off, yeah.
Surely the courts will be sick to death of the whole damn thing. I mean,
I
as if you wouldn't be, but else.
Oh, I am.
So I mean, what's kicked off lately then?
It's the accusations from his mum, just non-stop.
And now, I presume has she tried this? I mean, originally did she say he did this, he did that, or is this just a new thing? Oh.
No, all the way through, from the beginning, accusing us of raping my own son, to accusing us of burning him, to child neglect, everything she's accused us of.
Oh, hell's bells, that's all sick stuff, man.
All very sick, Alan.
But I mean, presumably, hang on, if somebody makes an allegation, like particularly a sexual allegation, especially now after the whole baby P thing, if you remember from back in the day,
which I brought up as
an example.
As an example to them.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. But ever since then, they've been super quick. If there's any hint of something like that, they're on it like a rat up a drain, so to speak.
Against me they have, but when anything came about his mum, they've just left her.
But surely when she said he did that, the child's examined.
Yes.
No, he wasn't touched, thank heavens. Surely that tells the court everything they need to know about the woman who's just saying stuff for effect.
Yes, at the time, the judge was a lovely man, and he could see straight through her, and he made the court order, which gives me access. And since then, she's gone to every authority local. She's gone to Gateshead, she's gone to North Tyneside, she's had us in Sunderland Court, she's now had us back in Newcastle. She keeps moving from court to court, social worker to social worker, whenever they start to get a hint of what she's like.
Is she claiming money? I mean, because I was going to say, because if in my dealings with court, and slightly different to yours, but my dealings in court, if you go to court, you have to pay.
Yes.
And if solicitors, you have to pay. Barristers, you have to pay. It's a bottomless pit of misery for anybody that has to pay. So
they keep the courts closed because it's all about mothers and money.
So she's just playing them, and they're not bright enough to see it, that she's just loping from one county to another. From one county to another,
from one local authority to another. And when they do start to suss out what she's done, she skips and moves house to another authority and gets a new social worker. And without sounding sexist, because I'm not, she also requests for women all the time.
What, like women barrister, women judge,
women barrister, women judge, women CAF workers, women social workers. As an example, when she moved to North Shields, we were given a male social worker which attended the school. Straight away, she refused to meet with him, phoned social services and asked for a female. Now, I thought that was wrong because the man is a professional. He'd done nothing wrong. We'd only met him for 2 minutes.
And presumably she thinks, though, that a woman would be more receptive to another woman.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what the hell do you do? I mean, so now it's 4.5 months. How old's the Baines, if you don't mind me
asking? He was 6 in October, and she wouldn't even let us speak to him on the phone to say happy birthday.
Is she with somebody else, I'm guessing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Right.
I'm married.
What? Oh, right, right.
Just to let you know as well, my son is artificial insemination. I'm a gay man and his mum's a gay woman.
Right.
We've never been together.
I love these. So presumably, yeah, this just makes it kind of more complicated.
It does. And what I found hurtful when she accused us of assaulting my son, she made us have an AIDS and HIV test, which I'm not bothered about. I'll have one because I know I'm clean.
Right.
But what I was more concerned about at the time was it's against the law to be gay in China. Now, my husband was currently in China at the time because he's Taiwanese, but lives in China.
Right.
And she made him get tested over in China. Now, what questions is that going to raise with their government?
Right. No, absolutely not do him any favours. That's
to put him in a very dangerous situation.
Right. Now, did the court, because you say artificial insemination, those turkey bases, they're good for so many things this time of year.
It was not exactly a turkey baster. It was just one of them little cow poster rings that we used at home.
I didn't really need to know the extra bit of information. However, we know how it gets there. Yeah. Did the court look at this and think, well, yes, you are technically the father, but do you still have the same kind of bond knowing that it was artificially placed there, if you know what I mean?
Yes. He's part of me. He's my son.
Right.
Just as much as he's his mother's son.
No, I was asking, did the court question that, though?
No, the court has never questioned his,
Good.
how he was conceived.
No, I just wondered because quite often the courts can be quite straight-laced about a lot of things. So that was all right. Right, yeah. So she agreed. And can I just do a quick rewind to the very beginning? When you and she, presumably, I'm guessing, on a night out, or you're having a day in town and you're shopping and you say, oh, I'd quite like a child, but I'm gay, and she says, well, I'll have one for you. How does that conversation come about?
We met through friends. That's how we met each other.
Right.
Through friends out and about.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, we became really close friends.
Right.
And just in general, talking over so many years, we got to the realisation that we both did want children.
Right.
She was a lovely woman. I was a lovely man. And it was something that happened over a long period of time.
Right.
It wasn't just something quick.
No, I hear that. So you would think she's a really nice lass. How did you think it would work, though? Because you knew you'd never be with this woman. You knew you'd never live with her.
Oh, we had it all planned out. She was engaged to a beautiful woman who I still hold dear to my heart, who she's no longer with. Mm-hmm. And she has a daughter from a previous relationship, and it was just fabulous because that woman's head is really screwed on. She knew everything about raising a child. Right. So it was just something that we were really looking forward to. We had a baby book where we wanted him in a certain school, we wanted him christened. We had everything planned out, and she just ripped that all from under us.
And you had nothing in writing, I guess?
No, nothing in writing, but I am on his birth certificate.
Right, no, but what I mean is, it's I don't know how you can say that raising a child's a business kind of thing, but it's just, she had the child, you're on the birth certificate.
I delivered him at home. He had a traumatic birth.
Right. You delivered the baby as well. My goodness.
I wouldn't say I breathed life into him, but he wasn't breathing when he was born, and the paramedics on the phone talked us through what to do.
Wow.
All the different methods to get him to breathe. And I'm just so lucky that a rapid response unit turned up to the house within 2 minutes and they gave him oxygen, and that made him breathe. Right. But I brought him into the world.
Amazing. I mean, but all of that, you would think that intimate moment of you and she, irrespective of sexuality, because it's got nothing to do with it when you get to that stage, you're bringing the child from her body out to see the world. You would have thought, even just for that, if she remembers back to that moment, she could never have a go at you, be it whether you're together or whether you're not together.
Well, one one of the things that she said to us years ago, which made us decide to have the bairn with her, which was like the final decision, which I thought great. She said to us, I've been in and out of care my whole life, and my mum stopped me from seeing my dad when I was young, and I've always resented her for it. So I would never stop you from seeing our child. Now, that's the spiel that she gave us years ago.
Yeah, so you would presume decent woman, even
I
if
really
even
did think
if
so,
things do go kind of chest up.
But I'd like to state that my son loves his mum.
Right.
So I kind of have no concerns from my son's point of view.
No.
It's just her attacking me. My son does love her.
It's just the kind of things that she's saying
It's wicked, Alan.
They're so radical and they're so intense and extreme.
Well, she's had 8 homes in the last 6 years. I think she's been to 5 different schools. She's had multiple partners. And I just think it's disgraceful where I've had the same home, the same job for 13 years. I've had the same partner for 6 years. We've been married for a year and a half. And I just think it's disgraceful that a child needs stability. And the courts, the social workers have all known that. And they've denied my son's stability being with me.
Have you thought about going? Have you thought about going in for full custody then?
I've tried that in the past, and they seem to lean towards the mother, which I find disheartening.
Yeah, but you've got 8 homes, multiple partners.
I've told them that.
You've got
They just don't care.
They don't care about the lies though, because
and what annoys me is you can spot all of our lies. Everything she's lied about is in the paperwork because she'll contradict herself in one statement to another. Now, I have to live with it because obviously I've got the paperwork. I read it all. A court bundle gets thicker and thicker and thicker over the years. And when it's getting handed to our authority after authority, the judge and judge, they haven't got the time or the resources to read every word in every document. So they just read a synopsis off the top.
Yeah.
And I can spot all the lies, but they don't have the time to scroll through it and spot them all. And by the time I mention it, she's moved to another authority.
But isn't it their job to be thorough?
Is.
Surely, to goodness.
And they're not. They're not thorough.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, from what I hear, though, there needs eventually at some point for you maybe, and because you are the only person throughout the whole thing that's been through it all.
Yes.
Because there's been different courts and different hearings and different representatives and whatever. Could you not make a list of all of the things that she said in the different cases, just on a couple of sheets of paper? You know, like bullet points.
Done it. Been there, done that.
Because that once you show them that and say, look, if you look through the documents, you'll find the following.
What you get
Boom.
told is, Alan, when you're sitting there in front of them and you've got that long list with the bullet points, they'll turn around and say to you, look, we're not here to discuss the past, we're here to look at the future and move forward. And then the next thing you know, I'm in court getting an accusation hurled from us at us that she's accusing us of from 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and I'll go, well, wait a minute. You're looking at that accusation she's made from a year ago, but you're not looking at my list of, like you just said, the bullet points. And they'll just talk about the future.
Yeah, but the last 4.5 months, the future for you has been very uncomfortable because you've not been able to see your own child.
She's took my son away from us. She's took my job away from us.
How did that happen? How did you lose your job through it?
Well, I work in the entertainment industry backstage,
right?
Doing costumes and things like that, and setting the stages and things up for different shows.
Yeah,
I've done that for 13 years, and last year I got a really good job working down away in Manchester.
Right.
And she knows that when you're booking things for production, you need to be booked in the summer, well in advance.
Yeah.
So back in back in June, when we came out of court one day, she accused us of threatening to kill her, which never happened. I've never, ever said anything nasty to my son's mother in front of my son or anything.
Right.
And she accused us of threatening to kill her. So that meant I couldn't apply for a job because it would be on my record. No entertainment industry would hire you, having that over you. And by the time it got through the court, and it actually was proved false and hired out, I was too late for applying for any of the jobs. But at the same time, when she accused us of threats to kill, my husband was in Taiwan serving in his national service because it's mandatory in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Now, he could only ring us on the payphone, on my phone. The police took my phone during that investigation for 6.5 weeks. So I had 6.5 weeks where I couldn't even speak to my husband.
Unbelievable. Mike, you started the call by saying, I just want to talk about fathers' rights. From the sound of things, you haven't got any.
I absolutely haven't. The courts lean towards the mothers and the money. That's all they're interested in.
And presumably the courts, because it's legal aid, can claim whatever the barristers and judges and Solicitors can claim whatever they like.
I was granted legal aid at one point, and I was given a solicitor, but I was granted it under domestic abuse. The doctors actually had to go to counselling because of that. And the result of that was, and I hate saying it because I don't feel like I'm a victim of anything, but it was a doctor who told me that it was signs of domestic abuse from her, mental domestic abuse. Now, physical bruises can heal, but mental scars stay with you forever.
No, absolutely, no question about it. What are you going to do, though? Because you don't seem to have a choice. You've just got to keep rumbling along, trying your best to, at any opportunity, to have your say, despite the fact that when you do have your say, if the say goes in your favour, she just moves county again and tries again.
Exactly. Well, the reason he was taken was because obviously she accused us of the threats to kill at the court when we left. Now, she shouldn't have done a handover with my son at the court. You don't put him in that environment.
Right.
I never have. She does. So I refused to attend the next court hearing, and I got a letter off my doctor stating that I wasn't very well because of what she'd done to us, accusing us, having us locked up, phone taken away, losing my job. I was feeling very low and depressed. And I thought, I don't want to turn up to court in case she accuses us of something else. So I had my solicitor represent us instead. I got a letter from my doctor to say I was not feeling very well for the day, so my solicitor could represent us. She then told the court that she believed that I was mentally unstable. And because I wasn't present in the court, I'd never met the judge. There was a new judge at the time, and the judge made an order without me even being at court, meeting me or speaking to us, said that I had to have a mental assessment on the 25th of November and would be back in court on the 5th of December. And I'm not to see my son until after December, until the court has made their decision. And I had a major breakdown.
Right, but
I had a major breakdown, and I fired my solicitor, and I cancelled everything. I had a physical breakdown, Alan.
Oh, my God.
When they took my bail away. And I've just reapplied back to the courts, but I haven't heard anything.
And it just presumably once you start again, it's like starting from scratch again.
It is.
They're not going to be quick, are they? That's the thing.
No.
Hey, you have my love, Eric. I'm so sorry to hear what you're going through. Because to me, this is one of those things, and there's very few things in life that are genuinely black and white. A child will be raised better if they've got both parents involved. That's
you need
just
50-50 custody of your children, and I believe when you go to court, parents should not be in the courtroom. It should just be their representatives, and it shouldn't be father or mother. It should be parent A or parent B to stop the courts from making a sexist decision.
Right. Be interesting to see what comes up on the back of this. Eric, thank you for calling. Good luck, man.
Well, thank you for ringing. Thank you for letting us speak to you, Alan.
No worries.
For getting back to us.
Take it easy. No worries. Anytime. It just got more complex as soon as you got in there, didn't it? What would you do? I mean, how commonplace is it that family affairs get this intense and this unpleasant for your ex? And we say ex, and I suppose even in his case, it's ex. It's the woman he had a child with, even though needed a little bit of technical help, so to speak. Where did it go so wrong? Why did it go so wrong? And I know there's a lot of people that have been raised by one parent and they've come out to be a diamond. I've got no doubt that happens. But surely you've got a better opportunity if you've got the love of two people to keep you safe. And then if you lose one, you've got the other one to keep you as a safety net. Isn't that what it's about? Where do you stand on this? And, you know, it's funny, but on Greatest Hits, we're due a track. And right now, I can't think of a song that's actually more significant than the one that just happens to be next to play. Just one of the greatest ballads ever, isn't it? Come on. True Colours, Cyndi Lauper. Who's got one of the cutest, lispy kind of New York accents I've ever heard. Jan in Gateshead is up next, and talking of many things. Going to be talking about dogs and fireworks soon. Ali sent me a text. I think we should try and get Ali on the show if we can. She's got so much to say. But first, Jan from Gateshead. Hello, Jan.
Hello.
Hello, darling. What you on about?
Right?
I'm good, darling. Thank you. What you on about tonight, then?
The horriblest food you've tasted, the weirdest.
So what was yours, then?
Mine, Wales pigeon.
Oh, when did you come to eat a pigeon?
When I was at college, when I was a bit younger.
Yeah.
And we had to prep it, put it in the ovens and everything else. So we've done everything, all the garnishes and that.
So did they have you out hunting pigeon?
No, the college brought it in. We had to strip it and everything, just to learn on education at college.
Nasty.
So we cooked it.
Yeah.
And then this is what happened. Claude at Newcastle College.
Yeah.
He was really, really good man, him.
Uh-huh.
And
good.
he says, right, Janice, he was French. He went, right, Janice, get your fork, get your serviette. After I've prepped it, plucked it and everything and whatever you do with the pigeon, he says, right, you've got to eat it. So he says, come on, eat it. He put pressure on me all in the class and that. So everybody was looking at each other, and I was like cockly straight away.
No, I bet.
I went, I've just gutted it, man. I've done this, I've done that. Do you think I want to eat it? He went, taste it. I went, he says, because if you're in the kitchens, like in restaurants and that, you've got to recommend
taste it. That's true. Got to know what it tastes like. So what was it like then?
It tastes like chicken and liver, but it went straight in my hanky. I didn't swallow it a night.
You gobbled it straight in the hanky. Brilliant.
It was a cough. But then the things I've never tried, right, is...
What's a cough?
Well, I did. I just coughed and then like that.
It's gone. I know.
You know, your chef's pants.
Mm-hmm.
It was nearly finished. The class was finished. I put the hanky in my pocket in the chef's pants. Just like pretend I was itching and that. But he says, he just looked at it and he shook his head. He knew that I didn't eat it.
Do you know, Donkey, it's funny that you should mention the catering training at universities, because it'd be about 18, 20 years ago, I did a show on Tyne called College Cuisine, where all the catering colleges came in and they challenged each other to see which one was the best, and then you had like a knockout until you found out who the best one in the region was. And part of my job was to sit with the celebrity guest and taste the meals and decide which one was the best. And one of the colleges did pigeon. Now, I don't know about you, but it's I can't ever imagine anybody who I know or any family that I've ever known or talked to that would say, this weekend I better go and try and pick some pigeon up. Nobody, because they're like rats, aren't they, pigeons? I think they're nasty looking, dirty damn things. But anyway, this college cooked a pigeon for me, and I think it was the woman who works with Dawn French, whose name I can't remember at the moment. But anyway, she was sitting down and we were chatting, and they brought this pigeon out. And you know when you see something and you can... it's like you see pink chicken, you know you're in trouble, you know this is potentially... You know, you're going to be on the toilet for a month and a half. You could see it. This pigeon came out. I put my knife into it, into the breast of it, to try and get meat rather than other bits. And it bled. And the blood came out and went around the bottom of the bird. And she saw this, and she looked at me and her eyes screamed, "There's no flaming way I'm going to be putting any of that in my mouth," which meant I didn't have an option but to carve off a bit and start chewing this thing. And it cut to her, and she'd just put a potato in, you know, like something off the side. You know, oh, it's better than I expected, she said. And I'm chewing, because it wasn't cooked, I'm just chewing. And you know, if it's raw meat, you just chew forever, and you think, I could be sick at any moment. What kind of television's this going to make? So I don't know anybody. Maybe the super posh have a way of cooking pigeon, because they also eat... You hear quail mentioned from time to time.
The little quail.
And you're thinking, well, who's going to bother? How much meat are you going to... But then again, the French, you know, like your trainer, you said your trainer was French. They love all the blood stuff. And they eat sparrows over there and really small birds. But, no, it's definitely... when you said pigeon, I just had an involuntary shiver thinking of the pigeon that I had. So if
That's
there's any...
why I cough.
If there's any if there's any poshies out there, explain the whole quail, pigeon, what's that all about? Because if you shoot a pigeon, being a small bird, you're going to be spitting out buckshot, aren't you? Or the pellet that knocked it out of the sky. Ugh, you just wouldn't, would you really?
And do you know me nana, what she used to do years ago, right?
What's that?
She had a slice of bread and dipped it in beef dripping. Well, I
Oh.
just looked at I just looked at me nana and I said, bleh,
Hey,
like that.
I'm sorry, but your nana was right. When I was a really little boy, all the kids in the street would shout, Alan, go to your house and get a slice of bread. And I went, why? And I thought, oh, they must have something to put on the bread. That'll be nice. You know, if somebody's, got a chicken breast or something. And they said, no, go to Mrs. Thompson's house. She's got a joint. And I'm thinking, she's got a joint. She was cooking some meat, which meant she had a tray full of liquid fat, essentially, although you call it dripping. And you just dip the bread in, put a little bit of salt on it, and then you eat it in the street with it dripping down your jowls. But no, that was really popular.
Did it taste nice?
Oh yeah, it was like the best of the meat, because the stuff that drips off the meat goes into the tray. Now what they don't tell you is that if you don't eat it immediately, it turns into lard. They don't tell you that. And I remember I left mine for about 10 minutes chatting, and then tried to eat it, and it was disgusting.
Oh.
But if you have it the moment that it comes off, it's...
That's the way me nana ate it.
Yeah, I don't blame her. And I think a lot of people's nanas probably... My nana did as well, and my parents. But in the street, there wasn't an awful lot of people buying joints of meat. So
No,
when
it wasn't, not them days.
when we found somebody that had one, there'd be a knock on the door and there'd be about 9 kids, all with a slice of bread. Kind of would dip it in your pan, missus. It was an odd thing that you'd certainly never get now, I wouldn't think. But
You know what I ate when I with bread?
what's that?
Butter and sugar.
Butter and
Folded
sugar.
bread, aye.
There you, because it's crunchy. It's crunchy. I know. I've had that. My mother used to give me that if ever I had a sore throat. Get some butter on the bread, a little bit of sugar so that I ate it, and it was. My mother thought it would like oil me throat. I don't think it ever really did that, but it was. But you crunched it, didn't you? with the sugar, lovely. Hey, but thank you, Jan. Lovely talking to you, darling.
Hey, Alan.
Yes, love.
There's one more thing.
What's that?
You know how I done the 3 hampers?
Yes.
Hampers.
Yes.
I've raised £790.
Oh wow.
And we're going to find out tomorrow for the big, massive hamper that went to Wardley.
That is brilliant. Hey, that's a
So
fortune.
if I get 210, then I can say I've made a grand for
£1,000.
cancer in the kids.
That's great. Hey, congratulations. That is in this day and age, that's a fortune. Jan,
And
well
then,
done.
you know, the homeless, North East homeless,
Yeah.
they're doing a project over North Shields, and they're building a kitchen for people eventually to go in.
Tremendous.
And I've the builders I've worked for, I've give them see if they could help. And guess what, Alan? They're all
That's great.
right. So
Yeah.
as soon as that kitchen's built, I'm putting all the cups, the plates, some foods in the cupboard, and going to have a look at myself at the new kitchen.
Hey, you're making a great difference. Jan, thanks again, sweetheart. Well
Right.
done.
Right, I'll see you all later.
Look forward to it. Cheers, Jan. Jan doing amazing things. Pigeon. Is there anything worse to eat than pigeon? Mind you, in experience, the pigeon I had was just, honest. If it still had feathers on, it would be flying. It was just bloody nasty. But I mean blood-wise nasty. But it was bloody nasty, if you think about it. Just wrong. Dawn's just sent this in and said, Alan, I used to mop up the roasting tin with bread as soon as it came out of the oven. Beef dripping. It was gorgeous. And it was. No question about that at all.
This is Night Owls on Greatest Hits Radio.
You never know who's going to call next.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
You are with the big one. So now we're trying to get in touch with Ali, and we sent her an email because she sent this in. I'd love a chat with her. She says, "Hi there, Alan. I'm really curious to get yours and the Night Owl's opinions on fireworks. It's been such a horrible few nights in our house because I have 2 dogs and they're terrified of fireworks. One shakes so much he can hardly move. It's so horrible to watch. And the other one barks at every bang because she doesn't understand the loud noises. They have pet rescue remedies, special music for pets, and even thunder jackets. Nothing seems to help. Why in this day and age can they not either silence fireworks or create laser shows to celebrate the event without the bangs and stupid noises? I have a friend with horses, and she's having to stay in a caravan on the field because her gorgeous horse is so scared of the noises and bangs from the fireworks. I'm so pleased Sainsbury's have stopped selling them, so why can't the other shops follow? Because a lot of the fireworks being set off are kids around the streets and at really unsocial hours. It makes me so mad and sad when my poor dogs are in such a state, and I've got a lot of friends who all feel the same about this subject. I would love to hear yours and the Night Owl's views on it. Big love, Alison." Thank you very much. P.S. Thursday was amazing. Absolutely loved watching it on TV. Great, thank you, Alison. You asked for a personal view first. Let me quickly share it with you. I'm not a dog owner, so my view on it is completely different to a dog owner's. I know Tony's got a couple of dogs. One of his animals shakes uncontrollably at every... It doesn't matter whether you do all the things that vets recommend. Keep the dog in on bonfire night, close the curtains, turn the telly up. If there is any bangs, reassure the animal in. You know, I've heard what the vets say, and they're probably right. I've got no reason to doubt them. But a lot of people love the fireworks. They like the bang and the crash and all of that. But as far as I'm concerned, I personally don't think they should be sold in supermarkets. I think if a family are to buy them, they should maybe get a license. We're buying a certain amount. This is for our own back garden. They'll not be used anywhere else. Because some people do like going in the back garden, letting your rocket loose. I understand that, and people should be allowed to do what they want on their own premises. They should certainly show consideration for people who have dogs left and right. But maybe the one thing that needs stopping beyond anything is, because kind of like you, Alison, the firework thing is not it's not in bonanit, if to use our term, bonfire night. It starts about the 3rd or 4th of October, and it runs through till pretty much New Year's Eve, and they're still going because people have tucked a few away. And they're normally the odd scrote on the streets doing it for maximum effect, chucking them at people, chucking them at cars, firing them at people, and you should need a license to use something that is essentially a weapon. And I remember people putting fireworks through people's front doors back in the day and setting the lobby on fire. They're a dangerous thing. I'm not sure they should be. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that disagree with me. If you do or you don't, give me a ring. Let me know. What's your view on that? Because I think if you would say bonfire night is the night that you can keep your dog in and you've got one uncomfortable night of the year, but it's not. If you look at how bonfire night, a lot of people had their bonfire celebrations last night, the 2nd. Some of them are having the bonfire tonight, the 3rd. And others are having it on Tuesday, the 5th. So even if you just go to displays, there's not just one day. A lot of people have it at weekends because a lot of people work. I know we understand that. But no, I do think that it needs a real close look at. Let us talk to Neil, a quick bit of music, and then we're talking to Alison, who is that lady from Anfield Plate. Thanks, Ali. Hello, Neil.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, you. How you doing?
Okay, I've missed you.
I missed you too. What you been up to then?
You'll never guess who's asking after you, and she goes to me day services on a Friday.
Is it the Cult of Ange?
No, it's Julie Parkinson.
Julie Parkinson. Oh, that's great.
Do you know her?
I do. Our dad Michael was on the telly for years.
And I was making cakes on King's Day, and I had me apron on and me cooking. I'd make some lovely cakes, Alan.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And she always asks after you when her birthday is the 27th of December.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic.
So she was at the Great North Run when you saw her.
There you go. I know. I remember seeing her.
She's got blonde hair. She's the same age as Kate. She's 37 on her birthday this year.
Right.
So, and it's a shame that the Twisted Ducks had finished on the 10th of October last month. I'm disappointed because the Twisted Ducks were good, Alan.
Right.
But they were only there 6 months till the 14th of August. I enjoyed them, so I don't know what's going to happen now. And I had a Hawaiian Day, Alan, where you get dressed up with costumes and that.
Oh, did you wear a grass skirt then?
No, I had a Hawaiian T-shirt on and garlands over my shoulders and that.
That's very nice. Very nice. You had the garlands round your neck as well. Very Hawaii 5-0. That's great.
Yes, and all did you have a lovely birthday on October the 1st, Alan?
I did. Thank you very much indeed. I did. It was very simple, but very nice. Thank you.
Yes, and I've got some more news to tell you. As sad as I wanted England to win the World Cup, yes, but fortunately they played terrible against South Africa.
They did the best they could, but South Africa were storming it, weren't they,
I
really?
don't know if we'll ever win it again because that drop goal in 2003 with Johnny Wilkinson when Australia had time to come back. They were brilliant then.
Yeah,
and I think it was a fluke the last time we won it, Alan.
Do you think?
Don't know.
Hey, well, I mean, to their credit, though, they got to the final by beating a lot of really big and good teams, so respect to them for that.
The next Rugby World Cup is 2023 in France, Alan.
There you are then. Wow.
And then the next Olympics in 2024 is France and Paris.
Wow.
And then in 2028 in Los Angeles in America, where they were in 1984.
So you've got it all worked out. You're going to be watching it wherever it is by the sound of things.
Yes, because next year, Alan, is the 29th of February.
Right. Gotcha.
Because it's the leap year and the Olympics is in Tokyo in Japan.
Oh.
I hope we do well, but I don't think Hansi Marie will get the gold medal this year. I would like to see him, but I don't know.
No.
Because we're being off injured and we're coming back from hip surgery this year, you know.
Hey, well, we just have to wait and see. Hey, but you've done well and you've been up to all kinds of stuff with your Hawaiian things. That's
Alan,
great.
I've been doing a lot of singing on when I was I've been doing my own carry-on ski radio show with the ghosts and that. We passed Thursday, that was scary, and I had my cape on Thursday. So I didn't have my cape on for the Halloween because I left it by mistake, so it's all washed and taken home and all going to get put away for another year, Alan.
Right, well, you can bring it out next year and it'll last forever, won't it, your cape?
Yes, I can't believe it's only 7 weeks to Christmas.
I know, it's terrifying, isn't it? 7 weeks, blame me when you say it like that.
Alan, did you do a Halloween special last Sunday on the radio?
We did a podcast for the radio and we did a...
I thought you were going to be on Halloween Thursday.
We were on YouTube. The whole show was on YouTube, so you could watch it on your TV.
Because I've got an iPad, you know, where I can listen to music and.
Well, if you've got an iPad, you can go onto YouTube, and the Halloween special's still there. You can watch the whole thing.
How's Jean from Reckitt, Alan?
Jean, as far as she's in the queue, I think, somewhere.
How's Hazel getting on?
I haven't heard from Hazel for the longest time, but I was hoping to see Jean and Linda, of course, at the do. But the gig that I was at went on till the early hours, so
yes,
didn't get a
Alan,
chance.
I can remember. You know what my favourite party was when it was the night out. I loved it at the Bridge Hotel in 2009 when it was at the Bridge Hotel.
Yeah.
It was lovely there, but the room was too small, Alan.
Yeah, there's too many people in such a tiny little room. Hey, well, Neil, do you want to say hello to all your pals, then?
Yes.
Go on, then.
Julie Parkinson from Bedlington, and I do music with Stuart Freelands at work on the Thursday as well, with the singing as well, because he was dressed up as a wolf. Stuart from Newcastle, Alan.
You never stop, Neil, and never do. Keep going.
Stuart from Newcastle,
right.
Julie Parkinson from Ashington, Gina from Bedlington, Irene from Blythe, and the Cult of Ange, Linda from Barrowsford, Jean from Reckington, and Alex the DG, Blackie Beg, everyone at Bedlington Day Centre, and all the night owls in the world.
Rock. Thank you, Neil. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Alan.
There you go. We're going to be talking to Alison about the dog thing very soon. But we've got to, it's greatest hits, so we've got to slide a greatest hit in here and there. Kool and the Gang. Oh, we love Kool and the Gang anyway. But when they came in to see me, I asked Kool whether he'd ever had a proper job.
Well, most of us, started out, with the music thing. We didn't really go to college or anything, because our career started early. I mean,
Right.
I was only 14 years old when I first started playing, and George and those guys 15, so we were very young.
Right. So I mean, there wasn't even a choice. You were already doing it.
Well, yes, we were already doing it, yes.
And your parents must have been a little freaked by this, expecting you to become doctors initially and buy them a house and what have you. Then you're taking a chance on music where, frankly, the vast majority of people that work in the music business never reach the heights. They must have been a little bit concerned, surely.
There was concern. I mean, it was an up and down thing, but once they saw that we might have a shot at it, and the support was there.
Right.
Okay, just make sure you guys, learn a lot and do a good job while you're out there. And our parents was close to all of us. Like my mother and George's mother. She would. If I did something wrong, she would get on me just like my mother would get on the parents for all of it.
Mentioned Ali and her email about the fireworks. Got the lady with us right now. Hi, Ali.
Hi, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good, Alison. What are you going to do, though? Because it sounds like you've done all the things that anybody could be expected to do. Hence, you've got the plug-in thing, you've got the spray, you've all the stuff that's supposed to keep animals calm in the house, but they're still rattling the beams outside and chucking them down the lanes in the streets. How do you keep them under control, then, the animals?
Oh, it's awful, Alan. It's really awful. It gets me so mad every year because there is absolutely nothing I can do to help them.
Right.
There's my oldest one. He's really nervous anyway, but he shakes so bad that he can't even stand up.
Right.
It's absolutely awful to watch, and I know so many people that are in the same position. And I just can't understand why. Like, it's kind of going back to, like, why does it actually happen?
Right.
Like,
but as soon as you mentioned that, I mentioned it to Tony. I said, what do your dogs do? And he says he's got one that just doesn't understand what the noise is, and the other one is just terrified. And I said, well, presumably you do, again, the thing the vets say, you turn the telly up, keep the dog in, you're not taking it out on the key nights when you know there's going to be a big bonfire party somewhere. You keep the dogs in. And he says it doesn't make any difference. The dog just shakes from the first explosion of firework, whether it's a banger or a rocket or whatever, and the screeching of the thing doesn't help. But on the other hand, I know loads of people that love fireworks.
Yeah, it's kind of like they go to these events and they kind of have the celebration, and it's one of what it's like. There's so many accidents as well.
Yeah.
There's so much danger around them. I just don't get why it happens, to be fair.
But I think if there was just organised events, though, or if you said, look, I'm going to I've got to apply to the council, and I'm buying 25 fireworks, but they all have to be set off within the square back garden that the guy's got. I mean, that doesn't help the dogs that live next door and 2 doors up, I don't suppose. But it's just that the ones that I think are the problem are these scroats on the street who they get usually an older brother or a parent who's too dumb to realise what the kid's doing to buy some fireworks and say, well, there you are, but that's it for this year. And, of course, they're never going to use them at a fireworks party. They're going to use them against other kids. They're going to bother motorists. I mean, there was one story 2 or 3 years ago somebody on a bridge over the A1, you know where the services are, firing fireworks at cars driving along the motorway, and you're thinking, are these people mentally ill? You know, because why else would you do something like that?
That's it, and they're so expensive.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
Like, to have the money to buy them.
Yeah.
But like last night, if you've got an organised display that's going on, like to have a one that lasts an hour must cost a fortune.
Cheapest, yeah.
But like then it's like 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and like last night, 11:30, and they were still setting them off around Downfield Plain. And I have so many friends who were talking on Facebook saying, "How are you managing? What are you doing?" It's like my eldest dog. I couldn't even get him to go outside once it had all finished. I couldn't get him to go out with patio doors to go for a wee. He was just shaking so much and looking around all the time. It actually takes, because it's been proven that when dogs get stressed, it can take up to 5 days for that stress to kind of get out of their body.
Right.
So when they're having it continuously over, like, say, well, it started, there was a few big displays Saturday night, then there's been some tonight, then we probably, tomorrow we might have a bit of a reprieve, but then there'll be some on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
If you imagine that then affects the animals for a week afterwards.
Yeah, not to believe it.
And people just don't seem to take that into consideration, because I don't know, like, if they've changed, like, they seem to be getting louder and stranger noises.
Well, I think being a fireworks creator, and I'm sure there's many, they want to come up with something new every year, and the latest hit firework, whatever that happens to be. But it's just, I understand they probably need to sell to the public to make it worth their while, because they're only there for celebrations.
Yeah.
Usually, maybe a big football match or whatever. They sometimes do fireworks, or a big gig at a football stadium or the arena or whatever. You know, they put some fireworks on at the end. Other than that, it's bonfire night, isn't it? Then New Year's Eve they'll have one too.
Yeah.
But so I suppose even once you get November out the way, you're just building yourself up for the next big one coming up. What I don't understand is, if the kids didn't have them on the streets, you could find out when and where the big displays are,
and get the dogs away.
Get the dogs away, or if you're going for a walk, if you know somebody that's on the other part of town, go and visit them and walk them where there's not going to be any. But I don't know a single street where you'll not find some kid with a banger or a rocket or something like that, a jumpy jack.
Sometimes I used to take the dogs out in the car and take them up like over the moors.
Yeah, I can believe that's a sensible. But how many people have got a car and are going to do that? No, that's the thing.
Well, exactly, and it's dark and wet and horrible, and you kind of end up sitting over the moors for a couple of hours thinking, right, we sorted out now, and then you come back, and as you're driving home, one gets set off right next to the car,
boom, boom,
which
boom.
then is
Absolutely.
a bad experience for the dogs when they're in the car.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine has 3 sizable dogs. They're all mongrels, although they always, because they're like crosses, but that means they're a mongrel. To be old school about it, but they've got 3. One was a mix of there's a German Shepherd in there somewhere. The other one's got a Labrador in there somewhere. But they're 3 sizable dogs, and what they decided to do was they were going to go to the beach, a beach as far away from any fireworks as they could get. So they went down kind of Roker way, Sunderland, and just while they were there, they couldn't find a place where they could pull over where you couldn't hear or see fireworks.
Yeah.
Because there was like local parties on the estates, people with their families doing the family thing. Then at the end of the beach, there'd be the big fireworks party. If you drove the other way, you were heading towards another big fireworks party. And the dogs in the car were just shaking and quivering and a right mess.
It's awful.
So
I think as well,
I get it.
With them being so loud, you don't have to even be that close to them to have an effect. Tonight we started, and the dog ran behind the TV because that's his favourite place if something scares him. And he ran behind the back of the TV cabinet. And me and my husband sitting there going, well, can you hear anything?
No, but they're sensitive, aren't they, dogs?
A thing, and he was hearing something, and within about 10 minutes, the other one was barking, he was shaking, And literally, it was like, we can't actually hear anything. We couldn't see anything. So you don't even have to be that close to them.
But you know yourself, and I don't know whether you've ever felt this, if you've been anywhere near a fireworks party, there's a big explosion.
Yep,
and then a couple of seconds later, you get the vibration of that in the air. Like a tidal kind of wave. Dogs must be able to pick that kind of stuff up because they're so sensitive at every level. But we'll leave it there, Alison. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I'd love to hear what other dog owners are going to do, or what they suggest. Thanks for taking some time, Alison. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, love. Bye-bye. Oh, my goodness. Well, what are you doing? Going to take a quick break, then we're talking to James. He is in Wolverhampton.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls. The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest hits radio.
Get your calls in. Whatever you want to talk about, we will do that. Also been looking at the worst foods you've ever eaten, and we have a couple of challenges for later on. Not only that, but hopefully this hour, I'm going to be telling you some stories of outrageous fashions. Back in the day, from ancient times to perhaps more recent times, we've had some incredibly stupid fashions, and I've got some stories about that. And then I'm going to give you the top 10 most outrageous pop stars, according to a recent survey. You can hear the survey and probably disagree with it in the same way that I do. But you can hear it anyway. It's coming up very soon. Who do you think the most outrageous fashion-wise pop star or rock star that there's been? Have a think. Who's been the most outrageous over the years? I was quite surprised this guy won, although he has indeed been outrageous. See if you could work it out. And some great, really funny and amazing stories about fashion in the past. You'll get a kick out of it, I think. Anyway, let us continue with James, who's in Wolverhampton. Hi, James.
Hi, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. What can we do for you tonight? What's been happening?
Well, I fell over on Thursday night on my way to a Halloween party.
Hey.
And I fell forwards. Right. So when to go up a step, right, on a pavement, misjudged it, put one foot down, but my foot didn't actually go down. Put the other foot up. I fell over on the front.
Right.
Put my hand out, and I've actually fractured my wrist, my left-hand wrist.
Right.
And I actually damaged my knee as well, because my knee was throbbing and it was bleeding.
Right.
And I've actually damaged my chest as well, because I'm getting pains right across the chest as well. And I actually knocked myself out as well.
Right. So, I mean, but what caused the fall? Were you just not looking where you were going, or?
Well, I don't know, because I was looking where I was going, but I went to put my right foot down,
right,
and it wasn't down. And next minute, I know I'm coming around, and there's people all around me.
Right, I see. So, you don't know what caused it.
No.
Right. So, it?
I mean, it was probably because the pavement was too high. The edging was too high for people to.
So did you find a paving slab that was out of sync? Did you? Or?
No, but I'm going to go back there tomorrow to have a look at it, a better look at it in the daylight, because I'm going to report it to the council if I find anything wrong with it, and I'm actually going to be putting in for some compensation as well if I can find anything wrong with it.
Right. Was it not your fault though? That's because, the thing is, I see these adverts on the telly and I always think, there's big signs out saying, be careful because the floor's wet, and then somebody walks in, falls over, then sues the place, even though they've told everybody that the floor was wet. How do you know this wasn't your fault and you just tripped over something?
Well,
because you don't know is the thing.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go back.
Go back and have a look.
Have a look and take photographs if it is.
Right.
If it is wrong, and sure. then I'm going to go and dump the photographs on council's desk and say, look, I'm suing you, and get a solicitor involved, and that's You know what I mean?
Right, okay. All I would say is if you've got proof of something like that, I mean, go ahead with it. I'm not sure how successful they are, because, as I say, if like 20 people had fallen at the same spot, you've kind of got proof that this is a dangerous bit of pavement. People are falling all the time. If you're the only one that's done it, and I mean, in fairness, because we're blokes, we're clumsy at the best of times. It could have been, that you just trip over something, or something sticky on the pavement that you fall over, and it's not necessarily the case. But go and have a look first. Check it out.
I'm going to check it out because
see what you think.
My knee's got better now,
Good.
but my wrist is absolutely killing me because I've actually sprained my wrist.
Right.
So I went to put my hand out to stop me from falling, but obviously my wrist took the full brunt of it.
Well, your chest obviously got a bit of it as well. I mean, you might have fractured your sternum or something. Who knows?
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, well, good luck. Go and have a look and see what the crack is.
Anyway, how did you get on Thursday, Alan, with Halloween? It was locked in a place.
We're very, very happy with how it went. We got a lot of responses of one sort or another, and more in particular, the thing that I was really, I heard of the voice of a little child crying and whinging and being a small child.
Yeah.
And the worst thing in the world is if you're doing a ghost hunt and you hear it, but nobody else does, and then nobody believes you.
Yeah.
And I heard it, but the thing is, I didn't know whether anybody else heard it. But fortunately, a good few hundred people, because there was thousands that listened to it, a good few hundred people then rang. I heard it. I had to turn my headphones up, but I heard the child. It was the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life. So at least I wasn't the only one, thank heavens. But as I said, there's nothing worse than saying, "Did you see that?" And everybody goes, "No." And you kind of go, "Oh, blimey, is that just me then?"
Were you actually locked in the place, or?
No, we weren't locked in. I mean, we had access to it for a certain period of time, and we made best use of it. We were all over the place, but a fascinating place with an amazing dark history. So we were very happy that they let us loose.
Yes, where were you exactly, Alan?
We're at Bowes Railway. We'd been there once before. We took 3 women who screamed the place down and ran out. What we're actually going to do is, with the original show with the ladies, we're going to be putting that on YouTube as a follow-up, because the originals, you can still watch it. It's on YouTube now. The Ghost Hunt. If you want to have a look, just type in Alan Robson's Halloween 2019 and it'll pop. And we're going to put on the back of that the original show, so people can hear what happened that led us to go there a second time. That's the thing.
And Newcastle United did well yesterday, didn't they?
I think to everyone's surprise, yes, they did. But I can't argue with that. 2-3 away at West Ham. I think most teams would accept that one as a good.
We just need some money for the club. You know what I mean? Because
I think so too.
As weeks go by, I mean, I watch telly. I watch match of the day on a Saturday or a Sunday night, and the fans are just depart. Well, they're not. The seats aren't even full at St James's Park anymore, and it's all because of Mike Ashley. And Mike Ashley is sort of setting the club for sort of like falling very, very quickly, and it's not going to get any better any quicker unless Mike Ashley goes.
Needs a bit of work for sure. James, lovely catching up with you, and good luck with the pavement.
Thank you very much, Alan. You have a good week.
I will. Thank you kindly. There you go, James in Wolverhampton. Now, we've crossed the hour divide ages ago now, and I haven't given you your first clue. We're giving you the chance to win a mug tonight, a Night Owls mug. Clue number 1, a place where Jesus spent time as a boy. In fact, his name was Jesus of this place, okay? A place where Jesus spent time as a boy. Write that down. 3 more clues to come. See how you fare. And if you want to get a message through, you can either email me, of course, or you can text Alan plus your message to 61054. 61054. If you fancy doing that. A lot of messages coming in as well. A big thanks to Moony Moon. Hi, Alan. Great show. Listened for years. Can you tell us when you're going to do more nights? Love the Halloween show. It was great. But you're the best on the radio and we want more. So do I. But it just takes time on a new radio station. That's just how it is. And also, the Fognogs are back again. Talking about the worst thing you've ever eaten, they say my granddad used to eat what he called willocks. They were little tiny snail shells with snots in them. My brother and I used to call them that. Disgusting. Used to use a pin to get the snot thing out and then eat loads of them. Not sure what they're really called, but he used to get them at the seaside. Makes me gag just thinking of them, says Lynn. No, mate, what my dad used to do is he'd go down to the edge of the sea with a rake and he'd rake these things up. They're called willocks. He always called them willocks. I think they're called winkles. I think winkles is the proper name of them. He would call them willocks too. He'd get a bucket full without any liquid in there. He'd put some seawater in them because it's salty, and he'd wash all the sand out, all the gritty bits, tip them upside down and get the grit out. Then he'd put some more seawater in it. Then he'd light a fire and boil them. And then he'd get his pin and sit there, drain the water off, get his little pin. He's got a bucket full of hot willocks, and he'd sit there, use the pin to get the little door thing out the road where the little wriggly wormy thing is, and sit there and eat them. And I also thought it was a sick, horrific thing to do. Never tasted a willock. I will have to before I die, but I'll probably leave it till I'm really poorly. 0191 488 3188. Sue from Weshy is out there. Hello, Sue.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling. What you got for me tonight, then?
Right, you was on about the foods that, the worst foods.
Yeah.
Mushrooms for me, because it poisoned us. I think I've told you this before.
You did. Mind you, that was a wild one, obviously, wasn't it, though? That's the thing.
My mum swears it wasn't, but I don't know. And winkles, they're lovely. I love winkles.
So, I mean, but they have to be boiled, though, before you eat them, don't they?
Yeah.
Because you kind of just eat the little wriggly beggar when it's in its land.
Oh, no, there's a little tiny, it's like a little cap, I call it.
Yeah.
You have to pull that off. And cockles as well. Love cockles.
Now, you see, I like cockles, but when you look at them, it looks like it's something that's fallen out your body, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It looks like, well, this is how your nose works. Do you know what I mean? When you see a cockle.
Well, I do like them. I like them, like, fresh. I don't like them because you get them in the jars and they're parsons pickles.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And I always say, because my friend has often brought, I said, you shouldn't buy them. They've been in there for years. Because it's the white vinegar and it gives it a misty look.
Yes. No, absolutely. Yeah. The thing that I've noticed, because I've had a few jars of cockles, I don't know whether it's that make, I think it's another make. And what happens is, if you leave them anywhere remotely warm, they blow it up. And then,
do they? I didn't know that. Well, they're not left for long enough for me to do that.
And they're nasty. But they're just they kind of. If you should eat them within a couple of days of buying them, because if you leave them a longish time, they get bigger and kind of inflate a little bit. And when you eat them, it's just they're just a hint off. And you don't ever want to eat seafood that's a hint off, because you know where that's going to send you.
No.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think it might have been 2 years ago now, and we'd been to the in shops in the galleries, and we went to the fruit market,
right?
And we brought these nectarines, and my friend had popped round when we got home. I said, "Oh, do you want a nice nectarine?" You know, and oh yes, and she was eating hers. I was going to try and tell her how to cut it.
Right.
So I cut it in half. And then twist it to get the spoon out.
Yeah, absolutely right.
By the time I'd done that, she'd eaten hers, and I went to take a bite of mine. There's a maggot crawling on it.
Oh, yeah. No.
So I was like, oh my God, it's got maggots. And
I was gonna say, there's nothing worse than finding a maggot in your fruit, unless you find half a maggot in because you know you've already eaten the other bit.
Well, my friend probably ate all hers and hers because she did. So anyway, we dissected the rest of them, and they was all of them were full of maggots. Yeah, horrible things.
Yeah.
But the fireworks thing.
Yeah.
I just wish they'd ban them altogether, or failing that, have more community organised displays.
Yeah.
So like the likes of ordinary people don't have to buy them; they just go to display.
Gotcha.
Pay a couple of quid going in, whatever, and that's paid for the fireworks.
No, I agree because you know yourself that even when I was a kid, and which seems like just after Queen Victoria died, when I was a kid, you used to stand outside the corner shop that sold fireworks, and every adult that went in, you'd say, "Will you buy us a box of fireworks, mister?" And would you buy us a box of fireworks, mister? Or you'd find your mate's older brother, who was like 19, and you twist his arm and say, "Will you get some fireworks?" But they ended up in the back lanes. They ended up doing all the bad stuff, all the bad stuff you did with them. Fire. I remember that we had a firework race where, and please don't let anybody do this, but there was 4 of us. Each one of us had a rocket. So we faced it down the road, back lanes at a time when there was only a Model T Ford on the road. So, so 4 rockets facing down the street. Somebody at the bottom of the street trying to work out which rocket gets there first. And they all go, most of them didn't even go straight. You know, some of them hit a wall and exploded. Another one went up in the air. Because these things they're not designed for that. You're supposed to fire them.
I don't suppose when you're a kid as well, you're doing that sort of thing. You don't think of the dangers, what it can do.
Oh, there wasn't any thought for anybody that might be walking down the bottom of that street across from one side to the other, or a car maybe, or a bus, or who knows? Because when you're young, you just think about instant self gratification, really, don't you?
Like today, I think it's the adults that don't think, especially adults who haven't got animals,
Yeah, for sure.
And if they had an animal and they'd know, I mean, my little Eb's here, as soon as she hears a bang, she's running about the house barking, and she goes to the patio door and she wants to go out to investigate, and she just runs around the garden like a lunatic. So she's frightened, but she's not, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm dreading Thursday. I'll have to have the telly on, the radio on, anything to drown them out to keep her quiet. But there was something on Facebook I saw this afternoon, and someone had got quite a long sock, an old sock, and they cut the bottom off. It's got a hole in each end,
right, and
then put it over the dog's head to keep its ears covered.
Whoa!
Like double it up,
right?
And that said that worked for her dog. That's got it over its face, so the nose and eyes are out, but there's double the thickness and it's covering the ears,
right?
So they can't hear it. And she said it works for me. Try it and see the help. But I don't think the thunder shirts are that good, because I think there was someone had.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that they bought one. No.
Yeah, had it on and it still didn't work.
No.
Behind the toilet. I think they said it was hiding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, some people say build a den in the house, and cover it up so there's like a hidey hole for the dogs.
But even if they do, the dog's still frightened. That's a hiding hole, but they,
No, I get it.
Noise.
Damn shame.
Yeah.
Anything else, then, Sue?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations for Thursday, because I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's good.
When you sat in that dark room and you heard the cry, whoa!
Did you hear it?
Yes, I did.
Hey, thank heavens for that. Right.
That was without the ghosty voice box thing, wasn't it? As well, you just sat there and you heard it.
Yeah.
That was, it's all right listening to them and you can hear, but it's great when you can see what you're actually doing. And
Absolutely.
the ghost called Peter.
Yes.
He seemed to follow you in every bit you went. He was there.
He was.
That was really weird.
Well, I'm just
brilliant.
glad you got a kick out of it, Sue, and thanks for being there.
Yes.
Appreciate it, love.
Can I give a shout out?
Of course.
Well, it's for Jenny and David, Clary, Richie. I'll give a shout out to Neil because he always gives a shout out to everyone else.
That's lovely. Thanks, Sue.
Thank you, Alan.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest hits radio.
Now we've just got to try and look after our pets of whatever sort over the firework period. Problem for Anne is she's got a psychic dog. She says, Alan, my daughter's dog barks before the fireworks even bang. He can sense it when they're lit. He shakes and barks for ages. Good on Sainsbury's for not selling them anymore. I think the other supermarkets will follow suit. Anyway, I hope so. In Washington, we've had them for the last week from 6 o'clock till midnight every night. There should be organised displays only. And enjoyed the ghost hunt, by the way. Thanks to Ben for showing us where to watch it. Cheers, Anne. Glad you managed to get the chance. And let's crack on. We have a second clue. What links all of the answers together? Do not enter this competition until you hear the fourth clue, because obviously you don't know all of the clues until you hear the fourth clue. Clue number 1, place where Jesus spent time as a boy. Second clue, a song by Will Smith about this Florida city. Okay, a song by Will Smith about this Florida city. You got 2 clues down. What links the answers together? You got 2 more clues to come, and let's see how you fare. Okay, 2 clues down, 2 more to come. And lurking in the darkness halfway up a mountain, it's Sean from Concert. Hi, Sean.
How are we doing, son? All right?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much.
Did you see that on the news last week about them half-witted kids throwing bangers and fireworks at cars?
Absolutely.
In Middlesbrough.
Yes, I did.
Now, I don't understand why they kind of just ban them, like.
Well, it's an industry, isn't it, though? Because if you ban them, I presume there'll be factories that'll go out of business and people will lose their jobs and all that kind of thing. I would imagine, though, that it must be a lucrative business for some, because if you think about it, theme parks have fireworks every night. I mean, every night of the year, 365 days of the year.
I mean, it's supposed to be 11 o'clock at night, you know. You're not supposed to set them off after 11 o'clock.
Well, this is I completely agree with that.
Where's the law come into it, like?
Now, well, I hear that, but the people that have them on the streets are kids. They don't care about the law. They're going to just mess about as long as they can mess about. And you've already heard what Anne was saying. In where she lives, it's from 6 o'clock till midnight pretty much every night. And I think that's how it was when I lived in the West End. You'd be hearing the odd banger or the odd explosion, or they say the odd rocket going, you know, leading up to Halloween from about the 1st of October onwards, really.
I mean, what's the fun of throwing them at people, like? It's no joke, this, like. I don't understand people.
No,
kids these days, I don't understand.
No, it's not a joke. It's just people being stupid. There's no question about it. But the problem is that some of them aren't even fired at people. Just they end up hitting people because people aren't being wise. They just chuck them on. I've seen people in cars. Can you imagine a worse place for a banger to go off than in a car? But I've seen people in a car lighting bangers and chucking them at people at bus stops and stuff.
Yeah.
And you think they deserve prison. That's attempted bodily harm. You would think it.
I mean, where's all these CTV cameras and all that? You know what I mean?
It'd be a thought, wouldn't it? It would absolutely be a thought for sure.
For God's sake.
But I mean, when you were a kid, was it all
It was London Lights. And I was scared of them in case they burnt your fingers.
Mind you, the funny thing was I was talking to somebody at the A&E. This is about 5 or 6 years ago, on night owls, saying what should we watch out for when we're celebrating our bonfire nights. And they said one of the most common ways that people hurt themselves is with sparklers.
Sparklers, yeah.
Because the actual heat of the burning sparkler is incredibly hot, and people don't realise it. And the A&Es are full of people that have, they've chucked a firework down, then picked up the wrong end.
Yeah.
And they've had a nasty burn.
Sparklers have a very nasty leg.
Yeah, but
I mean, they're still burning when the
they're
black
out.
stuff goes out. Know what I mean? They're still burning. People still do lift them, like.
Yes, I get it, but it's just that's the one firework related kind of thing that parents seem to think is all right to give to a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. Just hold it. Make sure you just hold this end. Well, you tell that to a bear, and the first thing they do is hold it in both hands. And you go, oh, you badly burnt you. I just don't think they should be given to little kids. And then everybody yells, you're a killjoy. You don't want people to have I want people to have a great time, but I just don't want them to need skin grafts for the next 6 months.
Like I say, when we were kids and all that, the London lights, I mean, did you see the London lights?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think they were red, pink, and green, I think they were.
Yeah.
And once you get to the green ones, you knew your fingers had to get out of the way, like, because it was the last colour that went up.
The thing that I remember was my parents, even when I was really small, like 6s and 7s, would take me out in the back lane. This is a back lane between two, streets.
Yeah.
And back then there wasn't the number of cars that there are now. And you'd have the fire in the middle of the road, and it would take all of the paint off everybody's back door. It all wrinkles up and turns black.
Yeah.
And then a couple of washing lines would burst into flames and start heading towards the houses. And then the mothers would give all the little tiny kids, the sparklers, and then some other kid a bit older would light a banger. Well, what does the end of a banger look like when it's first lit? It looks like a sparkler. So then they chuck this thing in a kid's direction. The kid sees it going and thinks, it's a sparkler, I'll go and pick it up, when boom. And then they can't pick their fingers up because they haven't got them on their hand.
I mean,
anymore.
when we were kids, can you remember the noises that just went?
Yeah.
And that was it. It was only a.
Yeah, there was
but
never
now,
a.
Now it sounds like a bloody a big explosion.
It is, and they put whistles on them on purpose to generate the biggest noise they can possibly
You
get.
can't hear the wheeze anymore. It's the boom.
That's a thing of age, Sean, when you can't hear your wheeze.
I know, mate. You're right. When you go a bit senile, No, but it's true, though, isn't it? I mean, the noise of them now, it's just...
But did you never enjoy them when you were a kid, Sean? You must have
I
been,
enjoyed it. They gone to
the official one.
The official one. I mean, there was always one in concert, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But then they got rid of that, and I don't know what's happened now. I don't know I don't know what they do now. You know what I mean? They said they couldn't afford to run it anymore, so...
Well, you keep hearing this, and as soon as you hear there's not going to be a bonfire in your area,
yeah,
all the kids then say, well, Ma'am, can we have one in the backyard? Can we have one in the front garden? Can we do one ourselves?
And the fire brigade put them out, like, I'm on about the official ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, you know yourself that people just go in the back garden with their own kids, and I mean, even my dad did that now, a backyard one bonfire night, because he didn't want me going anywhere near these unofficial things that just happened in the street. So he got probably about £3 worth of, because you could buy fireworks for £3 back then.
Yeah.
And so he'd buy a box of, was it Standard Fireworks? I seem to remember the name Standard Fireworks. And you'd be 2 rockets, a banger, a Catherine wheel, and a jumpy jack.
Yeah.
And that was it. And you lit them within about 6 minutes, and then you looked around thinking, well, now what do? Because we haven't got a bonfire, we cannot bake a potato, It's like, we might as well go back in again.
We cannot fry our bangers anymore.
But everybody used to do that when I was a little kid. You'd go to a bonfire, and right away around the entire edge were baked potatoes in tin foil.
Yeah, you're right, mate. They used to get fed.
Yeah, and that was then your parents would come out, and all they'd have is like a little plastic fork or something that they'd nicked from the Chinese restaurant, and say, "There you go, help yourself."
And it would melt in the tatty because the tatty was red hot.
It was volcanic. Talk about the fireworks burning. The first mouthful of tatty did it.
You're right what you're saying. Like, I mean, it always used to be like, you used to get hot dogs and things like that and everything,
Yeah.
They were all free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now it's just, I don't know what it is now. I think it's just.
I remember some woman, and she had some hot dog sausages, and it was the cheap tin. You remember those tinned, cheapy sausages, and she'd got
no frills.
She got absolutely, and you knew that we're talking pigs, cheeks, entrails, and private parts probably in these sausages. But
proper meat, no.
she had like a fork from like a barbecue, and she was just holding it, cooking each sausage one at a time. And this sausage fell into off the end of the fork, into the bonfire. She progged it again. It came out covered in black ash. She shook it. A little bit of ash fell off. It was still absolutely covered. Just hid it in a bread bun, gave it to the man. Off you go. And he's practically crunching, the... dear.
Truly, is it? When you think of it, when you look back,
but you see, these are the things that. But you see, these are kind of happy memories. Even watching. She said, "Well, where are you going to where's the bonfire going?" Oh, we're putting it outside number 44 because we cannot stand the woman that lives at number 44. So we're really going to wind her up by having the bonfire burn all the paint off her back door. There was always a reason for everything, and then she's coming out now. Get your son away! Just as you lump the wardrobe that you'd got from like the house next door.
It's the same. When you were kids, when you used to go penny for the lantern.
Yes.
All the drunks used to stand on them, but you always had another one.
Yeah.
Turnip.
Oh no, absolutely. The funny thing was though that I remember going round the street where I lived in, knocking on every door like the week before bonfire night.
Yeah.
Say, have you got any old furniture? Have you got anything you want to get rid of because we're building a bonfire?
Yeah, I used to go in carol singing in June, so that's good for you. And people used to say, "Well, what are you coming down this early for?" Wait, you know what it's like in Christmas. It's
busy, absolutely.
It's quite busy.
Can I get moved for carol singers?
No, but like you never hear it now. Like you never hear like. It's always trick or treat, but you never hear penny for the lantern and out like that. You know what I mean?
Well, we never had penny for a lantern. We always had penny for the guy. It was never penny for a lantern, but that must be obviously a concert thing. The thing that I got, this is about 5 or 6 years since I last had a carol singer at the door, and the carol singers, there was like 6 kids came up in like Santa. There was one with a Santa beard on, and the other one had like antlers, kind of thing, and they went. That song, "Give Us Some Figgy Pudding" or whatever it was, and bring some out here. And you'd think, oh, good. I mean, not because in American films, carol singers always come, and there's 14 of them in a 4-part harmony.
Yeah.
As if they've just made a record. Not the ones that ever came to see me. And you'd say, there you go, there's 50p. Please don't come back. 10 minutes later. Somebody else has got the beard on. Somebody else has got the antlers on. They've all rearranged themselves.
You know what it is, Alan? You're talking about the carol singers, right?
Yeah.
When I was about 7 or 8 year old, I used to knock on the door, sing me bit. "Oh, we've got a party on. Can you come and sing to these as well?" So I used to get invited into the party.
What a voice you must have had, Sean. Blimey.
I used to go into the houses and
I was usually pelted with things until I left the path.
Football pinks, man, and
right.
Go and sell the football pinks at Christmas time. Get up on the free and easy and go around with your hat. Oh dear me, you made a fortune. You did. You made a fortune, mate.
But in a time of the paedophile, Sean, you can imagine.
Oh, the paedophile.
Hello, little boy. Why don't you come in and sing to the people in my party? Blimey. Surprised you survived, Sean. But up them mountains, you see, it's good people, you see. That's why you never...
well, we're fantastic people. There's no doubt about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'd never get it wrong.
Everybody from the north is fantastic. It's just the people in the south that don't know how to live, man. They don't know how to...
Well, that's
you go to Carol singing down the door in London, they'd shut the door in your face and turn the light off and say, there was that. They wouldn't listen to you.
No, but I remember, talking trick or treat now, because we've just ended it really with Halloween.
Trick or treating.
But I remember, because before we ever had the whole trick and treat thing.
It was all American. It's just the Americans that brought that over.
When it first started, though, I think kids took it more seriously than they do now. Because there was a house down the road that did what you said, turned the lights off. You'd see the kids arrive in the street with the parents. There's two parents who don't want to be there, and about eight kids wearing everything from, like, the proper costume that they bought from somewhere like Morrison's, and the other one just had a black bin liner on, with two holes for eyes. And they'd parade them down the street, and this family obviously clocked them and went, switch the light off! Switch the light off! Turn that telly off! Close the curtains! Jump behind the settee! Jump behind the couch! So this happened, but they knew they were in there, and they walked to the middle of the road and they got eggs out and chucked a load of eggs at the front door. Now, I don't know whether you've ever tried to get egg off anything. It's an awful thing to try and move off your door, and so you're 25 minutes trying to get old omelette off the front of your door. Off.
But it wasn't the kids that was doing it, it was the parents.
It was the parents, I know. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Bring those sweets in. There's your eggs. You know what to do with them.
Don't worry, son. If you don't get sweets tonight, I know what they're going to get. Shit. But it was. I mean, the parents were the worst of the lot. That was the thing.
They were.
Crazy.
They were. But I've enjoyed the crack, mate. Very good.
Always a prize. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Take care, mate. Bye.
All the best. Bye-bye. Up the mountains where the canny people live. And 0191 488 3188. Now, Gillian in Bishop Auckland says, a couple of years ago there was a firework display for children held at Auckland Castle. It was aimed at children, and it was a quiet display where all of the fireworks were silent as not to frighten the children. What an excellent idea. Shame all the fireworks were not silent, as surely it is the loud banging noises that frightens animals and causes them to run, and good on Sainsbury's for not selling them. There you are. I like fireworks. I feel sorry for the dogs and the cats and everything else. I truly do. But I like fireworks, and I will go to I shall visit a display, because I like all of that. And why not? The thing that I'll never understand is I've been to some displays, and there'll be a bloke there with his dog on a lead. Now, what? Explain. 0191 488 3188. Piece of music now, I fancy, and not only a piece of music, but a conversation. A band that you will know, called Swing Out Sister, popped by for a chat, and they decided that they were going to tell me about some of their stranger fans.
Well, we've had a few strange incidents, but I kind of tend to get to know people to maybe find out. I don't really I don't encourage it so much, because I don't think you want people to be obsessed with you. It's just, if you've got something to share, the music, it's always nice to know that you've got something to put out and share with people, and it's nice to hear their response. But sometimes if people get a bit too obsessed, then you think it's unhealthy. But I usually try and find out about the people. I mean, I did once have a bit of an incident with a lady at the Grammys in New York. We were nominated for 2 Grammys, and we were staying in a hotel with all the other Grammy nominees.
Right.
And so there was a bit of a sort of private area and people couldn't come in. And this lady followed me into the hotel. I'd been out to get a cup of coffee, kind of disguised, because it was I like just going doing ordinary things, like going for a walk, looking around a market, having a cup of tea. And I can do that most of the time, but when the Grammys are on and people are looking...
Yeah, they're watching for you.
For who's coming in and out of the hotel. And this lady tried to get in the lift with me, and I told her that she wasn't supposed to come in and had to tell, well, the guy... All the security people came and jumped on it, so she called me all the names under the sun, but I don't know. I think she just felt she wanted to be friends, and I think that's usually how things start. They're pretty harmless. But actually, I sometimes invite people to my house. Some people were knocking on our door once when we first started out, and they turned out to be some girls who'd come over from America, and they brought me some presents of my favourite American sweets, which were lifesavers.
I was gonna say.
And
good friends to have, these people.
How did they find my house? But, they didn't have anywhere to stay, or they told me, I asked where they were staying and what they were doing and how the hell had they found my house. And they were having a bit of a problem with the place they were staying. And we were going off on tour. And so I gave them the keys to my house.
You were a mad woman.
Don't nick anything, don't run up the phone bill. Well, I lived in a squat at the time. It wasn't a particularly brilliant house, but I think it turned out to be better than their hotel. And they've been really good friends ever since.
Isn't that great?
One of them's gone on to be a PA to all kinds of different musicians, often on tour. They phone up when they're in town and say, do you want tickets for so-and-so and so-and-so? So he would have known. Another one works for NBC television in America.
Oh, that's all good, isn't it?
They've gone on to do great, but they were young girls. I think I saw their vulnerability and thought, this house is going to be empty. You look after the house, feed the cat, don't nick anything, don't run up the phone bill. And they didn't do any of those things, so it turned out all right.
That is brilliant. A great thing. Funny but true story about that last song, Breakout by Swing Out Sister. When I was a little lad, a friend of mine decided he was going to make his own Dracula movie with me, his girlfriend, and just the three of us. And the idea was he'd play the vampire, I'd play Van Helsing, who ends up in Jesmond on the outskirts of Newcastle, impaling him with a branch that I hurled as just he was about to bite his girlfriend's neck. And he'd put a load of makeup on me because he was into all that kind of acting business. And I had, like... what do you call it? We've got Dawn in here because we're going to blur in a minute. What do you call that? The basic one that you put on?
Foundation.
He'd put foundation all over us, and he'd accentuated my eyes to make me look like 140, closer to what I look like now. And but I was about 14, 15-year-old, and he had his little, one of those wind-up, you could record for about 15 minutes, and then you had to wind it back up again. It was one of those kind of cameras. In Jesmond, he says, well, how am I going to get all this muck? And he says, well, we'll go to the toilets in Jesmond and we'll just wash it off. Went to the toilets, they were shut. You couldn't get in them. And I said, I'm not getting on a bus, like this. And he had a white face mask on with blood running down his fangs and what have you. So he says, well, we'll just go to the Jesmond and we'll wash in the water of the stream. Why, that's attached to sewers and all kinds of things across Newcastle at the time. So I washed my face, and when I got home, the radio was on, and Breakout was there. When I looked in the mirror, I had broken out. I had all kinds of blebs and sores, just boom. So I don't know what was in the water, but don't trust it. Wait till you get to a proper netty. That's what I would say. Anyway, Jenny Story's been on. She's brilliant. She says, hi, Alan. Do you know that Asda, Aldi, and Morrison's are selling low-noise fireworks for anybody with animals that doesn't know? We also have to consider farm animals and strays. Yes, you do. And well said, Jenny. It should have been mentioned. You are quite right. But now is officially time for the blah. Well, what is the blah? It's where we get chatting with Hollywood McShane, who is producer to the start.
Hello.
And we also have Dawn from our switchboard tonight.
Hello.
And we start with Monday's national newspaper front pages so that you guys get a feeling as to what you can expect tomorrow morning when you walk past the stands or the paper shop, or you get it rammed hard through your letterbox. Right, let's start with, as you do.
Does anyone do that anymore?
Oh, yeah. The Daily Mail. Hospitals deluged by 5,000 diabetics every day. They make up 1 in 10 admissions. The toll doubles in a decade. Dozens of cases are children aged 9 and under. What do you think? Diabetics. Thanks for your deep
The 9
insight.
and under is like just completely thrown me. There's an increase in kids that young with diabetes.
Because it obviously it's sugar, and you see a lot of obese children. So
Yeah.
I presume that's.
Presuming it's connected.
I presume so. Strictly Vote triggers TV tiers of a Viscountess. Do you care?
No, and I don't even understand that.
Apparently, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, a Viscountess cried when she heard the result of it.
It's a game show, God.
Oh, for heaven's sake. I know, get a grip. The Times, gangs used top schools to traffic Asian girls.
Wow.
There you go, that's the Times for you. And the main parties are lying on the National Health Service doctor's warning. Yeah, there you go. So, anyway, we politicians lie. Kel Surprise. The Daily Star. Picture of Shell in a green frock. Michelle?
Keegan, maybe?
Who knows? Daily Star. It's somebody called Shell. Britain in the freezer. -4 Celsius Scandinavia shiver to bring snow chaos to Great Britain. They think we might be getting that. Let's hope.
They're usually wrong, though, aren't they?
Let's hope not. Daily Mirror, exclusive election pledge. Labour will save free TV licences. Promise to protect the vital benefit for 37 million over 75.
That's good.
Yeah, but that's only if you vote Labour.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Because they're always using things like this to try and...
Oh, yeah, they're all going to be at it now, aren't they?
To persuade you which way you've got to go. Go with your gut feeling, everybody, and good luck to you, whoever you happen to support. Daily Express. Here's Boris doing the same in reverse. I'll cut taxes for every worker and boost the welfare spending by 5 billion. Wow. 5 billion. My question is, where's he getting the money from?
Exactly.
That's what I was about to say.
So it's all right talking about all this cash. It's just, where's it going to come from? Especially if we do actually Brexit. The Guardian, obey me. Oh, he sounds like... I'm tempted to do a Star Wars voice. Obey me on Brexit. Corbyn warns cabinet dissenters. And the thing is, Labour now are a party of Remainers, according to every Labour MP except Jeremy Corbyn. So, who knows? And Diwali is lighting up the autumn gloom. So happy Diwali to those who believe of that. And the Sun newspaper. Psy hits back at Little Mix. Do you care? No. And exclusive, the main thing is drug toll. A coke epidemic among the over 50s.
Wow.
That. Hospital cases treble in 5 years, and they're calling it midline crisis.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, but that's pretty good.
So it's obviously not good stuff if they're all, checking into hospital.
No, but you know yourself.
But it could be the amount that they're using.
That's possible, but it could also be that half of it's flour, sugar, and rat poison.
Drain cleaner
like
or
it
something.
used to be. It used to be back in the day. Daily Telegraph. Farage could ruin the UK's hope of Brexit, although that's what he wants. But he doesn't like Boris's Brexit, but he wants to join Boris. You see, if we had politicians of any party who actually thought of the people first, it would be a lovely thing. I cannot say it. And the information newspaper, the National Health Service feels the strain as heart failure cases soar. The weird thing is, a lot of people who have diabetes take medication, but because of the medication, it makes them more prone to heart disease, heart failure, and stroke. So if you've got diabetes, you've also got to take all this other medication that has another side effect that can do this and then do. By the time you finish, you're taking like half a chemist every month. The Metro newspaper itself, Farage, I'll not stand to be an MP. And you got to remember that he has tried 5 times before and nobody voted for him. So
he's probably just playing it cool.
I think he's getting the gist of how people feel about it. The Independent, Farage. Oh, I won't be standing. Okay. Ministers responsible for risking migrant lives. And the Financial Times. Saudi Aramco finally launches IPO with a goal of raising £60 billion. How about that? So let's get down to your stories then. Over to you, Dawn. What story have you got for us tonight?
So with us talking about food today and weird foods and stuff, this one caught my eye. Firefighters were called to rescue a pig from a flat after its owner had passed away.
Right.
The owner's family had bought the pig, believing it was a micro pig. But after 2 years of owning her, the pig's called Twiglet. After 2 years of owning her, the pig is now weighing 30 stone and is 5 foot long.
Oh, jeepers.
And literally they couldn't get her out of the flat at all when the owner had passed away, so the firefighters had to come and put it on a stretcher. She'd lived the high life with her own bed.
But what happens now? She's not used to living in a sty.
No, she has been taken in by a farm where they've managed to reduce her weight by 1.5 stone.
Right.
And she's living. It took a bit of adjustment, but they've said she's settled in and she is like living a normal life and eating normal animal food because she had lived on a diet of Chinese takeaways.
Where did it go to the toilets in a flat?
It had its own room that was all hay on the floor.
It must have
seen the
stank in
pictures.
there.
It was all hay on the floor.
How much the neighbours loved visiting.
Single bed. She got put to bed with a quilt and a cuddly toys every night.
Oh, God.
Well, I have to bring this up. Now, you might wonder what this is. If you've been to one of the pound shops, I can't remember which one it was I was in, but I was in a pound shop, and this was for sale for 25 pence. Now, I presume they were on sale for £1 and nobody bought them, so they're trying to sell them. Now, how bad must it be if you're in the pound shop and you're not worth £1?
Wow.
And yet it's a full... It says jelly tomato flavoured beans. Right? Dawn, help yourself.
A tomato flavoured bean.
Yeah. Hollywood. Now,
Right.
Now, normally...
It looks like a baked bean, to be fair.
It does look too much like a baked bean. Now, again, we apologise for eating and clacking when nauseous, but go on. In it goes. Well, Hollywood's already done it. Go on, then. The stuff inside is actually quite hard. Dawn's making... What's
That is disgusting.
I don't think it tastes like tomato. Do you? It just tastes like a normal jelly bean.
You think so?
That is disgusting.
Hollywood, they're yours then. There you go. Enjoy. I'm sorry.
Didn't say I liked them.
You'll have to spit mine out. Now, Dawn's already bottled out of the next challenge. When you smell these, they're one of the Seabrooks. Now, Seabrooks...
That's a good crisp.
As far as... but many others are available.
Yeah. Just not tonight.
No. Seabrooks have put this extreme warning for heat. In my experience, I think Seabrook crisps hardly have any flavour, if I'm honest. I do think they're not the most flavoursome.
Yeah.
However, Hollywood, I'm gonna pick the little beggar you have here. They look fiery. Right, that's yours. Yeah, that's definitely yours. And
looks like a nice crisp.
Go for it. Looks like a nice crisp. Talk us through it.
It hasn't got any flavour yet.
No.
But it's getting a bit fiery now. Oh yeah, that is hot.
Scorching hot Trinidad scorpion chili. Your face has gone pale.
I just had to swallow it. But yeah, that's got a very big burn aftertaste.
The aftertaste hits you like an absolute hammer. So just be careful. Dare you eat the heat? It says fire eaters. Just be careful with these, because if you give these to small kids, I think it's really. Do you like them?
Oh, kind of, but I think it's just they're a bit too strong.
Well, you can have them as well. There you go.
Wow.
So Hollywood Machine gets it. What's your story as well, Hollywood? While you're
Well,
here.
talking about stinky houses, that woman with the pig in, it must have been honking in there.
Yeah, you'd think.
Well, apparently, you know when you invite someone to your house, it takes them just 38 seconds to evaluate your home. And it's mainly based on smell.
Right.
So if you've got someone's house, you know,
Cabbage.
that's the first thing that you judge it by.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so... 38 seconds, and then they're judging you basically. So if anyone new comes to your house,
I went to a girl's house. This was it wasn't a house; it was like an apartment flat kind of thing. And this was going to be like first time she'd ever invited me to the house for kissy poo and stuff. And I walked in there. I got there 25 minutes early, and she'd obviously just had a poo.
Oh.
And there was it was, you could you can tell when
did you
somebody's-
smell the whole house out?
Well, it was only a little flat.
God, you could have opened the window.
Still must have been.
But I
So
got
did
there.
you-
I
did-
got
did it
there
put you
early,
off
so
her?
she was probably mid-cleanse when I knocked.
Yeah.
And then by the time she came down, she didn't have time to.
God, did not even flush.
And
maybe.
you walked in
Did it
and
put
you
you off
came
her?
out.
Did
No,
it put you
a-
off her?
a bloke being put off by that.
Well, I mean, that might put
There'd have
you
to be a
off.
dead horse in the living room to put a bloke off.
Fair enough. Well, other judging things that people do when they walk in your house is see if it's been hoovered recently.
Right.
What? Anything else that you look for? The temperature, if it's
Pets.
too cold.
Pets.
Pets.
I
yeah.
don't like
That's,
pets.
it's not really judging, though, is it?
Well, yeah, because they're stinky houses. If you've got a dog or a cat, you've got a stinky house. There's the potential for fleas. There's dog poo on the couch. No.
Well,
you don't,
I've got a
don't-
dog and there's no dog poo on the couch.
Don't ever.
No
dro-
fleas.
Yes, there is. When there's little dog bum shrapnel, there's bound to be
Bum shrapnel.
And you know the little bit. No, the little bits that don't manage to lick off.
My
Oh,
mum wipes the dog's bum.
I don't, but then again, then the dog licks its back, then it comes up to you and does your face. No. Then you drop a Malteser, you pick it up, and it's hairy.
Not if you hoover.
Pet hoosers. Oh, not if you hoover. I mean, you don't hoover like every 10 seconds after the dog. Blimey, you know the problem. Cats as well.
Yeah, I was going to say I've not got dogs, but I've got cats.
Scattering the cat litter all over the place and walking it through the house.
Well, they poo inside, so that must be a bit
Stinky.
iffy.
Yeah, you change the litter every day.
Every day.
Yeah, but even
Or
with that,
every other day.
people will know you've got a
Yeah,
cat.
oh,
If you walk in there, you can smell the whittle and what have you.
Well, our litter tray's in the downstairs toilet, which is right as you come in. So.
Right. Well, there you go.
So there you go. So people will be judging yours on the cat smell.
Well, we've got
if
one
they
of
come
those
in.
ones with the closed lid, so the smells are a bit more contained.
Do you not judge it
So
by
it's
what
got, like,
people
the
are
little
wearing
cat
as
flap.
well?
Well, yeah, it depends what you go round for. I mean, Poo Lady must have been wearing something
God,
smart.
if people come round to my house, they're never gonna come back again.
Do you know it? No, even though I smelt it, if you pardon the expression, I mean I smelled the poo. I left before you. A bloke in a house with an attractive woman, I never gave it another thought after the initial waft.
Was she embarrassed?
You could tell she was.
Yeah.
She could tell that I could tell.
Yeah.
But nobody says, you just
You're not
you just-
gonna go.
You had a real good. You just wouldn't have that conversation,
That'd
would
be
you?
funny if you did.
Listening to this list, and if what you're wearing is one of the things.
No, that
it's
isn't on the list though. But
Not what
You
else
would-
is on the list then?
I know that's-
You wouldn't come round to mine ever again after the first time because I'm
Well-
normally sat in my pajamas with the cats on the couch.
Catwoman.
Not everything I've said. Really, temperature. If you've hoovered, the smell, things like that. They're the top three.
You see, cooking, if you go into somebody's house and there's a nice smell of food, but there's also, you're going to have that cabbagey,
Yeah.
nasty, minging kind of
On
smell
the
as well.
takeaway from the night before.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. So what puts you off? If you want to talk about this, all you got to do is pick up your telephone, give us a call, and we'll be talking to you immediately after this. There's a little bit of Blondie. Now, interesting that Charlotte, Dawn's daughter's just phoned in to say, yes, we really do have a stinky house with the animals. And that's why I've moved out to halls of residence. Well, you can't blame them. You can't blame them, can you? And anyway, we've got Jean. Let me first of all adjust my voice and tune into hers. Hello, Jean!
Hello.
Hello, Jean!
Yes, man.
Hello.
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 Hello, man.
Hello, Jean. How you doing?
All right. I'm just feeling that story yesterday.
Was it good?
I was telling you.
Excellent. Good
I'm
news.
very happy so you couldn't come, right? Oh.
I just couldn't get there. I had a gig that night. She knew that, so.
I know.
And I was due on from 7. They told me to be there for 7:30.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get on stage till about 9:25.
Never.
And I was doing like it was an auction of things to raise money. I didn't get finished till about 12:25.
Never.
And I was miles away from. I was in Middlesbrough, so
Oh, it's a long way, that, aye.
it's another hour and a half before you'd even think. I guess I knew I'd be too late, so I just went home. Didn't get home till 25 to 3. So yeah.
Let's see, so I can't have the food. I took some pizzas up.
Right.
There's some, I take pizzas, and then cheesecakes. They were very good.
Lovely.
They went softer. We kept them in the fridge either.
No, just a shame I missed out because I thought it might fit in lovely if the timing went right, but I've got no control over it. That's the thing.
We should come to mine on Saturday.
Lovely.
I wanted to find the bus to the Exeter station, and from the little outside the bus, and here comes what do you call him again? Ian Son with them.
All right.
He came down.
Right.
Oh, I carry back on here.
Yeah, he is
Took
nice.
us right back home.
Good.
He knows that something, aye.
Excellent.
Oh, carry man.
There you go. Perfect.
Sings on it, but we were singing on the stage. Sing some.
Tremendous.
I don't carry say.
I hope there was a good turnout, was there?
A few.
Right.
No, there's a few. And, I carry a bit of a laugh on that.
That's good. That's just any excuse to get a few people together. That's always a nice thing.
She's going to bring a microphone down. Go in the lounge. I don't know if I was above got a microphone.
Right.
Big shoulders. I'll see about that. I'll see about that.
Right.
That's
good.
It's black dog.
It is. It's getting blacker as the nights go by. Are you all right, Jean? You're well looked after, lass.
Yeah. Was I?
You got no health issues at the moment?
Just me asthma and that.
Just your asthma.
I've done some to me eye, I know.
Right.
I get that so. I've done some to me. I don't know what it is.
Ooh.
So it'd be so nice with a hoover. It's come apart. It's one thing up for a call and that. So it's hard to put back.
Right.
And then good.
Yeah.
I give it to her.
Oof.
You are really.
Yeah, let her sort it out.
Oh, yeah.
That'll work.
Over.
Anything else then, Jean?
Yeah. You were, but I'm all stabbing that baby.
Awful. Can you believe it? No, terrifying. We had the woman with the 2 children that she murdered her own two bairns, and she said killing it's like a bag of crisps. You just want to keep doing it.
Never.
Horrible. Front page of one of the newspapers. It's a dark world out there, as you've said, Jean. You're right.
Look at our little girlie. Look after her.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
She's fully loving.
I know we'll see that having a thing here, but she got to there because she put smelly stuff on the house. She's got perfume on her.
Right.
That smells nice. Oh,
Right.
lovely herself.
I mean, she's got no pets then.
Yes, she's got two lurchers.
Well, I mean, people still smell the dogs.
No, but she's got smellies on them. She's got the smellies around the house. They smell nice.
I know they've got stinky bums and stinky breath, and
They do that
you ever
thing,
smell the dog's armpit? Oof.
Oh, no, have not.
They don't use deodorant.
They get showered and that. They get washed.
Dogs get showered.
Yes, you wash them.
They don't like that. They don't like all of that.
They do.
How do they switch the shower on?
Because they go to the shower.
Yeah, but how do the dogs switch it on?
Not them, Nanny. Siobhan does. Siobhan does.
Oh, she does, right.
Right.
But the
I'm
dogs
doing it.
actually like being in the water.
Yes, they do.
I thought they hated that and fought
No, they
against
don't.
it and what have you.
No, they do.
No, he did.
Yeah.
I'll believe you. Do you want to say hello to anybody, Jean?
I get
Go on in.
Oh, it does not come on anymore.
What? Why?
I come on no life anymore. Oh, it's on Linda. Oh, it's nice seeing it now, but I don't know.
Right. Oh, well, whatever. Right. Can I do anything about it?
Oh, no.
Right.
I know, but this Casper kids said they were going to come.
Right.
They should have said that to me, you know?
I said I'd call in if I could, and I couldn't.
Not you, Casper kids.
Oh, right, I see.
Just give it to somebody, send it up.
Right.
Know.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to see oh, see him. Oh,
Anybody else you want to mention?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Hans and Morley. She's been up there today.
Right.
Up to
The dog shelter.
the dog show. Well, a French connection perfume set.
Uh-huh, good.
She's coming on Saturday to do it.
Right.
And also, Ian from, thank you to Ian from Whitby.
Right.
Not with Burn, I mean.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he's coming. Thanks for him.
That's good.
And all the help, you know. And hello, sir. Here, I call her. Fred and Richie. Fred and Richie.
Right.
Hello, sir. Angela. Hello, sir. I'll call her. Linda. And some that.
Right.
Balfour. And hello, sir. Who else? Oh, I can't remember.
You can't remember. Doesn't matter. Bye, Jean. Bye-bye. Whew, there you go. Back to reality. Whoops, there goes gravity. And Jean disappears. Quick break, then we're back talking to you.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Okay, now I've given you 2 clues so far. Going to give you your 3rd clue now. You'll get your 4th clue in about 15 to 20 minutes, so hang on in there. The first clue is the place where Jesus spent time as a boy, according to the stories, because there's no history to prove it. Place where Jesus spent time as a boy, according to the Bible. Second clue, song by Will Smith about this Florida city. Third clue, the continent where you find Switzerland and Andorra. Okay? The continent where you find Switzerland and Andorra. 3 clues down, 1 more clue to come. Then you've got to tell me what links all of the answers together. Okay? So you're 1 clue away. Don't start until we get to that point. Callum from Ponteland is next. Hello, Callum.
Hello.
Hello, sir. What can we do for you tonight?
I'm just calling because why not?
Well, why, that's as good a reason as any.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about then?
Just going to comment on the, what's it called? You know the static thing that you had on the ghost thing a couple of nights ago?
Yes.
It was like the staticking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like in gaps, you hear voices. What
does a
what's
sweep.
it called again?
It does a sweep of the energy that's in the room, wherever it comes from. Yeah.
I thought I could hear classical music and different like blips of music in it.
Yes, absolutely.
Like off the radio. Like,
yes, absolutely. You catch whatever energy's in that room.
Oh, so it's not just like, so it's different waves like FM and different other things.
All kid goes right across the lot, absolutely. But it's just how commonplace you get a name that's spot on the nose with the thing. It sweeps across whatever energy's in the room. So arguably you could catch any tune, I suppose, but you tend to need to get a split second of it and it's gone. But when it stops on something and then it cuts out and then does another sweep in the opposite direction.
Just wondering.
It's okay. No worries.
Anything else? I wanted to comment on fireworks as well.
Yeah, what about them?
I was at So Shields tonight at the fireworks. It was good.
Good.
I was standing on this like little hedge border thing, looking over like where the fireworks were going to be.
Yeah.
I heard this almighty bang, and someone let a petard firework thing off in the crowd. It wasn't like one of those ones, it was like a bang.
Right. Enough to terrify you, though, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you were next to it. That's the only thing. I've got no qualms about the official firework displays. You can get a right kick out of them, but it's when people start chucking them about at people or putting them through letterboxes or chucking them at animals and things. There's a lot of nasty. What would you do with them? I mean, would you curtail their sale in any way, or do you think the way it's done now is adequate?
I'd say it's once a year, but it does, like, it's usually meant to be one day, but it sometimes even goes on for, like, weeks before and after. You should have it sold for, like, 2 days, and that's it. You've had your chance to buy them.
Right. Yeah, because if you think about it, I've seen them in the supermarket since probably back end of September, beginning of October. So that's 30-odd days you've got to build them up and build a stockpile if you are a cracker and you just want to cause a bit of trouble. You've got a month to buy them, really. So, yeah.
I do agree with the thing as having the organised displays only. That's
Right.
a good idea.
Okay, fair enough. Anything else?
Last thing is about treasure hunts in a way.
Yeah?
I was walking around Kirkcaldy, some nice country walk near Bolham.
Yeah, lovely.
Morpeth, kind of, I don't know, it's around that area.
Uh-huh.
And I was walking with my parents, and I seen a box by a chair. I opened it up, and it was like a notebook, and it was like a geocache.
Wow.
I looked on the app, and there's like loads of them planted around the northeast and the world, for that fact.
Uh-huh.
And you find them, and you swap stuff, you write your name down. It's really good.
Yeah, because I know that they started doing something up around the Bolham area. I don't know whether did you ever see the Bolham footprints?
No.
They put some big, like, kind of white grey footprints across roads, and then on. There's like a walkway at one side of Bolham where you're walking across, like a wooden kind of platform.
Yeah.
The far end of Bolham Lake, you can walk in that way. And they'd put these white footprints all over the place. People are saying, what are they? They said, it's the Bigfoot of Bolham. And everybody started looking for this is about 6 or 7 years ago. Since then, they did a little pebble thing where they'd put a painted pebble down with a little piece of paper underneath, and you had to take that pebble, say where you'd pick the pebble up from, and you write it on the list. And already on the list was Newcastle, Sunderland, Scotland. We took it to Wales. And then here it is at Bolham Lake. And you've got to pick it up, take it somewhere and leave it there so somebody can find it and continue the list of all the places that it's been. A little bit more basic than what you're talking about, but I love all of that kind of stuff. I think we should do more treasure hunts. I mean, but proper treasure hunts where there's real treasure, 100 grand in a box somewhere. Blimey, that would get...
thing on TV before. It's like
well, there you go. But you'd get people out the house for £100,000 box, wouldn't you?
Because round Bolham, there's like a bunch of them, and I found 2 of them that had to go.
Brilliant.
And it was just little, one of those things you wee in when you got the doctors.
Yeah, the little tube.
One of those in like a little bag hidden around a tree. It was good. And I wrote my name, and there's little toys in there, like a little trinket thing, and you could swap them.
Tremendous. So, I mean, is this something you're going to continue, or are you going to start off where you live then? Because you're in Ponteland. You're going to start doing that in Ponteland and Duras Hall?
There is a couple around here, and I've planted my own.
Hey, well, there you go. People are going to have to keep their eyes open. Well, thanks for that, Callum. Anything else, mate?
Would I be able to plug something?
Plug away.
The geocache app, have a look, and you might be surprised where these things are.
Okay, cool. Let's hope people do. Okay. Thanks for coming on, Callum. All the best, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. There you go. Marie sent a message. Hi there, Alan. Just wanted to say thank you for the T-shirt I won in the What's It competition the other week. It arrived on Halloween, which gave me a real boost in mood. I also got to listen to your Halloween special on YouTube. Took me quite a while to work out how to subscribe. Finally managed it just in time. I've listened to you since I was 12 back in the early 90s. Never got through Halloween without being unable to sleep for the following week. I think I've finally grown up, though. I watched right through to the end without switching on a light, although I did come close when you were sitting alone and you heard the ghostly child crying. It's wonderful to have you back. Only trouble is you're like a tube of Pringles. The more you we get, the more we want. So glad you've branched out into the Grizzly Tales podcast, and I'm not sure how I would cope with the withdrawal symptoms. I do hope the radio station soon realise what a treasure they've got and give you more hours of airtime. Hope you're well. Keep on keeping on. Marie, it's what we've got to do. Right, we are 3 clues in now. In 10 minutes, we will have another clue, but a quick bit of music first. And this time, it is, a woman that you know and love. Her nickname is Alf. She first appeared with Yazoo and Vince Clarke. Her name's Alison Moyer, and I asked if she'd ever had a spooky experience.
Yes, I did have a spooky moment. I remember with my first husband, we were driving in hills in Spain, and he was driving at a regular speed, and I got a very strong feeling. I said, "You've got to slow down," and he didn't know what sort of. And I shouted at him, "You slow down now!" And as that happened, a motorbike came round the corner, overtook a lorry, crashed, smashed, and because we were going slow, we were able to stop the car about 2 feet before going over his head.
Wow.
Yeah, that was quite a powerful moment.
Like a premonition, isn't it?
It was like a real premonition, and had we been going the speed that we are, even though it was normal, we would have killed him.
You'd have killed him. Wow, amazing. Alison Moyer, all cried out, great voice. Had some staunches on tonight. And speaking of which, going to give you your 4th clue now. Okay, 4th clue now. Clue number 1 is the place where Jesus spent time as a boy, according to the Bible. The place where Jesus spent time as a boy, according to the Bible. Second clue, a song by Will Smith about this Florida city. Third clue, the continent where you find Switzerland and Andorra. The continent where you find Switzerland and Andorra. And the 4th clue, where Hitler's bunker was. Okay? Where Hitler's bunker was. Just the city, that's all you need. Okay, where Hitler's bunker was. You've got 4 clues. What links them all together? If you know, pick up your telephone and give Dawn a call right now on 0191 488 3188. While we're off to Cincinnati, Ohio, United States of America, to talk to Bodie. Hi, Bodie.
Hey, how we doing?
We're doing good. Just checking in to see what's happening stateside.
Well, every day I get a little bit happier, you realize.
So what's happening? Tell us everything.
Well, they're investigating the alleged attorney of Trump now, Rudy Giuliani.
Right.
The Tyne magazine came out with a picture of Giuliani looking like that vampire in Nosferatu, and it's titled "The Secretary of Offense."
Right.
And it's basically talking about how Giuliani was supposed to protect Trump, but he might get him impeached, which would be lovely.
Well, we're hearing stories, though, that some White House aides are refusing to testify on that call with the leader of the Ukraine. Is he going to, or is he not, or do they not need that for any potential impeachment?
Well, they're trying to push the Justice Department into issuing subpoenas.
Right.
Because with a subpoena, they can say, well, I was forced to testify. The fact is, none of these people want to protect Trump. They despise him.
Right.
But they're afraid to do anything against him. Because if there's the slightest appearance that they turned on him, then he's going to, rain unemployment down on him. So,
We're hearing other things, though. I gather that Donald Trump has moved out of New York City, and he's moved house to Florida, where his golf course is. And he went to one of the big fights, and he was booed by everybody because the fight was in New York, because he's decided to turn his back on. I mean, surely even the president has a right to live wherever he wants to, and I presume he's still living at the White House, and that's always been in Washington, hasn't it? So what's that all about?
He hasn't done a whole lot of living in the White House.
Right.
Since he's been president, he spent an inordinately large amount of time in Florida
Yes.
at Mar-a-Lago. And I think, I made a prediction to my sister the other day that as impeachment gets to be more and more of a sure thing, rather than doing what Richard Nixon did and just, saying, I'm going to resign in a dignified way. I mean, Nixon made a deal with the Justice Department. If I go away, will you not put me in jail? So I think maybe Trump is going to try that. But if he doesn't succeed, I'm pretty sure he's going to leave the country. And the first stop would be Mar-a-Lago. He's not going to want to stay here and have to go to jail.
No.
I'm pretty sure of that.
But if, let's say, for sake of argument, he is impeached and they can't jail him until he leaves office, and some of the Republicans then choose somebody else as their wannabe president at the next election, where would he go? I mean, because the people of Scotland aren't terribly keen on him, so can't see him going there. But would he not be eligible for extradition?
Yes. He becomes a private citizen. When you're impeached, you're no longer president.
Right.
Once the impeachment goes through and it's successful, there goes his presidency. And he has to leave the White House. So while he is under the impeachment investigation, he's not going to be allowed to do a whole lot of things that would protect him.
Right.
They generally don't want you to leave the country when you're under impeachment. But if it comes to the point where he's convicted of the things he's accused of, he's just a regular guy.
Right.
At that point, and he's not under any special, So the thing to do right now, the smart thing to do would be to say, I give Uncle, I'm guilty, I will resign if you will not prosecute me. So, because there's so many people that are getting ready to come forward, I think his goose is cooked. And I think so is Pence's. Pence knows his goose is cooked too.
Right.
See, the thing is, you can't take Trump down without taking Pence down too, because Pence has had his head so far up Trump's trunk that they're inseparable at this point.
Right. Because we hear that the guy that blew the whistle on Trump's now willing to take questions from his party, the Republican Party. The lawyers announced that he's prepared to do that. According to a news poll on Fox, and you don't know whether to believe anything in there or nothing in there, but they say nearly half of all voters want Trump impeached and removed from office. Now that's a major stat, and it's then the Republicans, because they don't want him impeached, are saying if you remove him, it would put a hole in the centre of our national politics, taking years to heal, as if we'll allow something illegal to happen just to keep things nice. Well, that's not even an option, is it?
No. And the Republican Party has got to take a step back and extricate themselves from Trump.
Right.
They've taken the Republican Party and just basically made it a part of Trump's body. And you can't do that with a political party without killing it.
Right.
Because everything the unscrupulous Trump does is a reflection on the party.
Gotcha.
So, they're going to have to, it's when Trump is impeached, and I say when, and not advisedly, I say that with pretty big confidence. When Trump is impeached, he's going to take the Republican Party with him.
Right.
And it's going to crash him. So they're going to have to find a way to pull themselves away from him. If they cooperate with his impeachment, that would go a long way towards saving that party.
Right.
And they might even get away with putting a runner, another person up to run for the president. That might help them too.
But he's not helping himself much, because Trump has some of his supporters who are dangerous. You'll remember early doors, pipe bombs were sent to a load of people that had criticised him, if you remember that right at the beginning. His supporters centering in on anybody that criticised him. Donald Trump now says that the media would do the public a service by releasing the whistleblower's identity. Now, I presume, is that so that somebody will come and kill him? Because let's face it, we have had deaths, in the vicinity of all of this that have done Trump a little bit of good by no longer being around, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, this is a scary thing that you have to worry whether or not, because Trump's telling the press, notify my people who to attack. Isn't that what that means?
Absolutely. And, Trump does everything in the same way that a mob boss does, if you've noticed. Everything he does is this cloaked in criminality. So, his call to expose this whistleblower is basically saying, because the whistleblower is no longer important in any capacity, because Trump got out in public in front of the helicopter and admitted what he did. That, when he did that, the whistleblower became, old news. So there's no point in bringing the only point there is in exposing the whistleblower is to punish the whistleblower.
Right.
To try to make them seem like less credible of a witness. But that's still not going to do him any good because he confessed to it.
Right, no, absolutely. On the flip side, because we're looking at it, it's easy to find negative Trump things to talk about. But Baghdadi, the ISIS leader, blown into small pieces, and Trump was very quick to pretty much. It was almost like he'd pressed the button. We've got rid of him. He died like a coward, and all of those kind of. It's kind of like what they would say. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like a mirror image of the kind of rhetoric that you would get from some demented terrorist. He's a coward. He died like a dog. It's what?
Yeah. When Barack Obama coordinated the attack on bin Laden and saw him killed, he came out and spoke for 6 minutes, and all he said about it was, he is no longer alive, we took him out, and I thanked the people who did it, and then he left.
Right.
Trump got out and spent 28 minutes lying about how it was done and exposing the soldiers and even their dogs to dangerous. I mean, he busted them, and destroyed the classified nature of the raid. He described everything down to the names of the dogs.
Right.
He's an idiot.
Certainly didn't he didn't do them any favors at all. That is for sure.
Well, he ticked them off so bad over there that they basically said, "Well, we don't like what he said about the Baghdadi's death, and now we're going to, wreak some retribution on your people." So basically, he got a bunch of our people killed.
It's power is a terrifying thing when you've got too much of it and you don't know how to handle it properly. And it's right from the very beginning. It seemed to be the case.
He has no idea what he's doing. I would not put him in charge of a Kool-Aid stand. I wouldn't let him sell Kool-Aid for a nickel on the street corner.
Right.
I think he would mismanage it. The guy is a complete idiot, and for him to be in charge of anything, much less my country, is terrifying.
Yeah. Well, a change is coming, Bodie, or so it seems, and we'll be watching. Keep an eye on it all for us.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you real soon. Good talking to you, man.
I sure will. Love you guys. Talk
Take
to you
it
later.
easy. There you go. There's Bodie from Cincinnati, Ohio. What do you think? And Sonia from South Shields is up next. Hello, Sonia.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, darling. What are you talking about tonight?
Well, I've had a bit of a giggle because I've been listening to your conversation about the poo smells.
Yes.
And there's a shop where I live, and it's called Foam Alone. And if you spray it before and after you do. And it comes in either lemon scent or very berries.
Lemon scent.
Yes, or berry berries.
Oh, berry
You give
berries.
give it a quick spray in the loo before you do the go,
Right.
and then you do your thing, and then you spray afterwards, and everything smells glorious.
Right. Now, I'm sorry, but this was not my smell. I hope you realise that I was talking about another woman's smell. But do you women not... I don't know whether this is, I don't know, something intrinsically female. Do female plops not smell worse than men's?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
Although I've never smelled. Well, I don't say that. I work at the hospital as a domestic, so I have been and smelled quite a few various types.
Bet you have.
Yes,
So, but do you use this? Because to be honest, you could use air freshener. You don't have to use very berry or lemon scent. You could use any kind of little spray thing, couldn't you?
Well, this is quite foamy, so it gives you that idea that there's nothing left behind, kind of thing.
Right.
When you flushed.
Nothing left from the behind.
No, and everything's nice and tidy, and everything's quite nice and scenty, and you can walk away and feel quite confident.
Because you see, the thing that I've noticed, and I'm not gonna name names here at all. I'm not going to say whether this is family related or not. I'm going to leave it up in the air. But if you use a spray, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. It's my toilet. I go to the toilet. I do what I'm going to do. Then I give it a spray with. Right. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's vanilla or something. Now
is that the little sprays that came out? The tiny little ones.
Well, they're kind of little, but they're fairly strong.
The ladies put them in their handbags when they go out and about.
I've got a bigger one than that. I've got an industrial male version. You need both hands to press. No, it's a bigger one than that. It's a one that you'd put in your hand like a jam jar kind of thing.
All right.
And anyway, I'd give it a spray. But now everybody knows if you smell vanilla, I've just dropped one. You know, that's the thing.
Yes.
I've just... So you think, oh, hang on. So the smell thing does have a negative... Because, he's been in the toilet. Do you know what I mean? But they're smelling vanilla. They're not smelling anything else. But
at least it made the effort, though.
Well, but there you go. Well, I'm a thoughtful kind of guy.
Well, there you go.
It's just how I am. But it's interesting. The person that works surrounded by a trillion smells of every variety, you've come across this Foam Alone kind of...
Yeah,
is it really, really impressive, is it? I'm going to have to dig some out.
It is. It's really good,
Right.
It is, and it comes... Have you ever used Sif bathroom cream?
Yes.
Like the foam?
Yes.
Sif mousse?
Yes.
It's kind of like that, but you put it down the loo.
Well, you see, Sif is what I would use to clean me sink, or maybe it's me bath.
Yeah, but it comes out quite a thick foam down the loo.
Yeah, but
So
if I was talking things you need to deal with what comes out of me, I would be talking. You know, what's that other one that's super? The loud shouty man sells.
Oh yes, Mr. Muscle.
No, worse than that. Sillet Bang.
Oh, the Sillet Bang one.
When I go to the loo, I'm a Sillet Bang kind of guy. I'm sorry to say. I would love to say no, just a little bit of Sif. Happy days. No, you need a good Sillet Bang to shift what I'm talking about here.
Well, I mean, I just think this one that I found, and I was quite tickled when I found it.
Right.
And I had to buy it just to try it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to look it up. We'll give it a go, see if it works.
Well, there you go. It's by Mighty Burst, and it's called Foam Alone.
I'll watch for it. Thank you, Sonia. All the best, darling.
Lovely lovely to speak to you, Alan. You take care now.
Always an honour, thank you. And she's doing a great job as well.